and welcome back to my channel for live reaction, player ratings, live stream. Chelsea nil. I might be angry at a few individuals today, but overall, it's not anger. It's just a bit deflated, really. Because in all honesty, it feels a bit like that 1-0 we had under Conte. Not quite as bad, but it feels a little bit like that. And if you've watched this channel for long enough, you know that I really, really hated that game. And I personally found that game at the time worse than the 6-0 under Sarri. I know it sounds stupid, but it just, at least under Sarri, it looked like we were trying, which is too bad. But under Conte, it didn't even look like we were trying. That's kind of the feeling I got today. I don't understand some of the decisions by Thomas Tuchel. I don't understand how Romelu Lukaku ever cost £100 million. I don't understand the substitutions. It's just mind-boggling today, mind-boggling. But to spice things up a little bit, we're joined by a guest that's not actually a Chelsea fan. I mean, he used to be as a kid, but now he's more of a neutral. And we lost. That arguably makes it even more interesting. But I just thought, okay, for a big game, he might look at it tactically more than we do because we're more emotionally invested. But I thought recently that we had some strange disagreements between myself and Pies and Con and Clutch in terms of ratings. But I felt often because we just look at different things, because we have different preferences. So I thought getting someone neutral, we would see who is like closest to the neutral view and who's like has their own kind of small, don't even want to put agendas on anybody, but who looks at things away from the neutral more. Not that anything's wrong with either of that, but Alex, thank you for joining us. Obviously, you're not as upset as we are, but
yeah, I can't lie.
How was that game from your perspective?
I'll put it this way. This is proof. I've liked this because now it makes me feel how neutral I am. Because right now, I thought I'd enjoy this, but I'm sitting here like imagining I'm trying not to laugh at someone's funeral. It's feel quite awkward because I enjoyed that game for the wrong reasons. So I'm in a chipper mood, but I'll try and reel it in.
Hey, we appreciate that you're going to reel it in, but in a way, hey, you might cheer us up. You never know. We'll see. Obviously, we will focus this mostly on Chelsea, but obviously, if there is something you want to say and talk about Manchester City specifically as well, obviously, please do. But as you can see, ladies and gentlemen, we are for once actually not joined by Clutch. Shout out to Clutch. He'll be back. Con, it's been a minute. I hope you're well, but you're probably not as well after that game. Pice will be back in a second, I presume. Go on, Con.
Yeah, bro. I'd honestly rather still have Rona than watch that crap again, man. Honestly, I'm so done with so many players in this team, bro. Like I'm fully done. Like I didn't expect to win today. I'm not that much of an idiot to think, oh, we're gonna beat City. But what was that, man? What was that? And like we took two of the attackers off, and the other two came on with just as crap, man. What's the point? Our best player in the front three is one who should be playing in midfield, man. That's how bad they are. I'm done with people saying, oh, but the system hinders them. They're just crap, man. They're awful players. And then you got a 100 million player up front who's awful as well. The 200 million players today were bang average. No, those below par. Grealish was crap. Lukaku was crap. And these are 100 million players, man. I actually used to like Grealish. I love Ziyech. I love Pulisic. I'm just attracted to fucking crap players, man. Honestly, tell me someone who I love who's not bad. Probably Jorginho, and then half people disagree with me anyway. So done with these, man. Bro, like, I'm going to try not to be so negative, but every time we're just going to bring up a bad memory, I'm just going to lose my head. So I'm sorry, bro, in advance.
It's all good. Bro, see, I love you and you love me and I'm not bad. I know. I feel you completely, honestly, mate. I feel you. I mean, I'm sure Pice will be back in a second. Has he said anything? No. But I'm sure he'll be back. It was just like... I mean, I understand the logic of why we didn't press, or what the idea was, that we tried to play a fairly high line, but not press, to stay compact and not let them pass our way through our whole team. But then when you get deeper and deeper and deeper, and to be fair, Tuchel was on the sideline screaming, get up that pitch. When you've seen Arsenal literally, okay, annihilate is maybe a bit harsher for word, but beat a significantly better team against City, I thought, in the first half by pressing them. And then we choose not to press them. I don't understand why. Like, I don't really have an explanation. Yes, of course, missing Reece James, missing Ben Chilwell. I get that. But also the players we put on the pitch are not, except maybe Ziyech, are not pressers. Like, I haven't seen Pulisic sprint in the last 2 months. So how, especially off the ball. Like, so I don't have a problem with Pulisic, but I don't understand why that was the game to pick him. I mean, I thought it should have been Kai Havertz. I knew it would be Lukaku, and the weird thing is Lukaku was awful, but not because, also because he doesn't run, but he had the moments to win the game for us very early. Could have just shot or held his run or held his pass for Ziyech to come back onside, but then he overhit that by 2 miles anyway. Then he had one other situation early on. Oh no, he had the run, which I thought he started too early and was offside anyway, but then Ziyech massively overhits it. And then he's literally 1-on-1 with the goalkeeper and can't score. We paid 100 million for someone that's equally as bad at scoring goals as Tammy Abraham, Timo Werner, Alvaro Morata. Like, what was the point? Like, what is this curse with strikers at this football club? Like, every striker we sign is great somewhere else, and as soon as we sign them, they're dog shit. Can we stop this? I can't live with another dog shit striker. Like, please, Lukaku. I know I'm angry because of the interview, because of your performances, but all I really want is for you to actually be good, but you're just not, and it's really, really painful. Pice, you're back. How do you feel after that? Because it's just tough today. It's just tough. I can't lie.
Yeah, initially I thought it was being kind of set up for us to nick a 1-0 win. I can't lie. It was going that way. We were surviving the attacks. I thought our defensive structure was good, but in terms of Sarr and Alonso, what can you do? What can Tuchel do with those two guys? They weren't great. Sarr was okay in moments, but was just getting out-dragged, and his positioning wasn't great. I thought we was going to nick it, but then I knew when the goal went in, it was game over. Apparently it's slightly controversial, but, I'm not blaming Kepa, but if he did have longer arms, he is saving that. So I just want to put that out there. It's not his fault, but again, Mendy would have saved that if he was here. It's just disappointing that our scouts again are interesting to say the least. And for me, a lot of my blame today and my anger and frustration goes towards the board, goes towards Marino. Yes, you can blame Tuchel for the lineup. I didn't necessarily agree with it, but at the end of the day, he's walked into this squad, and I feel like an absolute clown for saying we have great depth. We have great depth in quantity. We don't have great depth in quality. That's the major difference. And go back again today, seeing Alonso get absolutely spun and just. I've said to you the whole time, I thought we needed a wing back or two at least before this game, ready for this game, because it's the biggest league game of the season. 7 points sounds a lot, but if we won today, it's a completely different situation. They're now 13 points ahead and the league's gone because of this game. This was a must-win game, and I just think the resources and the unluckiness, if that's even a word, it's not, but I'm going with it, that we've had throughout this season is just, it's really unfortunate. And I'm just frustrated that we haven't sorted this team out properly. And looking at some of the players on the pitch today, I like them in moments throughout the season, but I've said it, Ziyech, Pulisic, Havertz on the bench doesn't even start, £72 million, hasn't really been that consistent in the league. Alonso still at the football club. Who else was there on the pitch today? Lukaku, £100 million investment. Shocking. Absolutely shocking, I have to say it. Who else? Who else is on that pitch? Some could argue Azpi's stayed too long as well. Maybe he needs to be put down now. I saw a tweet which was saying, he's an old dog that needs to be put down now. Love him, but again, Alonso and Azpi. But it's a good analogy because Alonso and Azpi in 2022, as our starting wing backs. I know it's situational because we've had injuries, but it's just painful, man. It's just painful. It really is. Some of the signings over the years, and it's just painful. I think a lot of my frustrations on the board today because I think it showed out there the difference in levels between the two squads. It's absolutely disgusting, and I'm quite surprised and quite proud that we actually got to 70 minutes without bloody conceding. I don't know how we won the Champions League. It's sad, the difference between the two squads. It's very, very sad.
The two squads to some extent for sure, but I do think today was also just, I mean, the squad just was scared. I don't think Tuchel was scared. Tuchel was maybe a bit scared in not pressing, but Tuchel didn't want us to sit deep. But he was, no matter how much he was shouting at that sideline, the players just dropped deeper and deeper and deeper. And I guess that's what City do to you to some extent. But when you play at a club as big as we are, you need to have the players with the balls and the courage to just do what the manager says. And you need to step up. There is no, I'm too scared to step up now because what if we get caught? There's no way of winning if you do it that way. Like, you can't beat City that way. Although I say that, we had 2 chances in which, at least 2, in which we could have scored. Obviously, there's no way of knowing if we score whether we don't just concede 2 goals after, because then obviously City go for it more. So, but who knows then? At least we could take the lead. That would open them up more. Maybe we have then easier counterattacks and maybe even score 2. But it's just... It's tough. Dan Demand, appreciate you very much for becoming a member. If anybody else fancies becoming a member, there's a link in the description if you're on your phone, or a button underneath if you're on desktop. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, we have nearly 300 people here already, so big ups to yourself. If you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe. We're on the road to 15,000 subscribers, and we're very close to 13,000 subscribers. So get subscribed right now. Big red button downstairs, and hit the like button as well. Helps us out, cheers us up a little bit, and yeah, really good for the YouTube algorithm. Let me get the lineup up on screen so we can actually start discussing this, because obviously yesterday we were sat here in a preview discussing, is it going to be 3 at the back, 4 at the back, who starts? It was 3 at the back. It was certainly the most defensive way we could have gone in terms of the back 4 or back 5, sorry. Alonso left wing back, Azpilicueta at right wing back, Malangzar left centre back, Thiago Silva central centre back, and Antonio Rudiger right side centre back. Of course, Kepa in goal because Mendy is at the African Cup of Nations, but also has the Rona anyway. So regardless of whether he would be there or not, wouldn't have played as far as I'm aware. Kovacic in the goal, Kante midfield, no Jorginho, and then a front 3 of Lukaku, who we all expected, even though some of us might not have wanted him to start. But I definitely didn't expect Ziyech and Pulisic. To be honest, I didn't expect either, if I'm perfectly honest with you. So I was very surprised by that. I mean, Ziyech has scored on, I think, 2 occasions against Man City last season, so that's fair enough. Pulisic scored on a Lampard against Man City, so sure. But, like, in a way, like, I am annoyed at them, Ziyech and Pulisic. And yes, they had moments where they should have been better. But at the same time, I'm like, we didn't even give them the ball enough to do anything. But Lukaku, yes, he didn't get the ball enough either. But whenever he got it, he messed it up. Like, literally I don't think Lukaku had a single good moment in the whole game. Like, there was no good hold-up play. There was no good touches. There was no good... And there was one good pass to Ziyech, and even that, you could argue, is it a good pass if you know you're passing it to Ziyech, who's running next to Kyle Walker, who Lukaku should be aware is a million miles faster than Hakim Ziyech. So as much as it's a good pass, if you know that the fullback there is way faster, is it still a good pass? Because you essentially know if you make your winger run against a much faster fullback, it's not going to get there. So does that still make it a good pass, or is it then a bad pass? Because it's like overhitting a pass to, say, Giroud, who's slow. You know he's slow, so you can't hit it that fast. Then it's not a good pass, is it? So I just don't understand. I'll go to you in a minute, Con. But I would like to know from you, Alex. Do you have an explanation why we decided not to press?
I think... in terms of not pressing, I don't know. I think it worked in some ways against City last season because this is the disconnect. I think there's some people questioning Tuchel's lineup, and I think it's completely fair because if you're going to sit back, why would you not put Timo Werner up front? Because then at least if you're going to sit back and try and counter-attack, then you've got Werner to go forward and provide that threat. Like you just mentioned the Ziyech opportunity there when Lukaku played the minimum of his single one good touch of the game. But imagine that was Werner on the left instead of Ziyech, which is very plausible, which is where he's generally played. That could have been a completely different situation. He might have got to the ball ahead of Walker and might have even been able to stay ahead of him. So I think there was a disconnect really with the aims and what happened. I will say as well, are you able to drag the players on the pitch? The back 3, I think City came extremely prepared. And what happened was, I don't know if you guys noticed, so they had their fullbacks pushing high, and it was keeping Azpi and Alonso where they are, a little bit further ahead of the back 3. But what their wide forwards were pulling wide. So if you grab Rudiger, and then push.
How you mean our defenders? Okay,
yeah. Yeah. So City's wide forwards were pulling wide, forcing Sarr and Rudiger to go to the touchline, and that was creating this giant space between Thiago Silva and his centre backs.
Track back here were too slow.
Yeah, and it just left these giant spaces where De Bruyne and Bernardo Silva were running into. There's something I noticed where I looked at that and went, okay, City have become extremely prepared, not only in that, but also every time. I think you guys can talk more about that, how every time you tried to play out from the back, City knew exactly where you wanted to pass. They knew when it was going into Kovacic. They applied the pressure straight onto him. It was like you were squeezed in. And it felt like one team did more homework than the other from the neutral perspective.
You could definitely say that way. I mean, I suppose it does help when you don't have a game in midweek, but we probably shouldn't rest on that excuse because, it's not an excuse. At least we're in a League Cup final, and, we could win that at least, something positive. Calidrock saying you act like Werner can do anything. Forwards are all useless. In a way, I kind of agree. When Alex said that, you could have started Werner. I'm like, yeah, we could have done. Would it have changed anything? No. I don't think, personally. I mean, you never know. I could be wrong.
He would have run through and missed the shot.
Or 15, and he certainly didn't do anything in those. Sorry, mate. What were you saying?
I said he would have run through on that chance, but he would have missed.
Yeah, there you go. Remember that one, like when we beat City 3-1 on the Conte, and just Fabregas just blasted a ball through to Hazard, and he had pace and a good finish. I haven't seen pace and a good finish in the same player. Well, Pulisic on a couple of occasions, but essentially since Hazard left, I haven't seen that at the club. No one does that. It's just difficult. Con, before we get into the ratings, anything else you would like to add? Like for you, like was it for you also the frustration that we just refused to press?
I kind of disagree with the point where you said one team did more homework. I just feel like we couldn't play out today because the personnel weren't good enough. Sarr is horrible on the ball, by the way. He is terrible on the football. Like, he defended well at times, don't get me wrong, but on the ball he's horrible. Alonso, we all know what he's like on the ball, has to take 4 or 5 touches before he releases it. And then on the other side, you got Aspi and Kante. When getting pressed, they're awful as well. So we couldn't play out. And I hate Rudiger playing on the right. Why didn't Sarr play on the right today? I have no idea. Because Rudiger with them bursts really helps us beat presses. And he just couldn't do it on the right. You can tell at times he looked so awkward playing on that right-hand side. I'm so annoyed today, bro. And I didn't expect to win, but I'm fuming at some of the performances. Lukaku had a golden chance for 100 million, bury it, and you can't do it. Bro, how big is Lukaku? Like 6'2", right? 6'3", something around that ballpark.
6'3" at least, yeah.
If this stat was right, I want to cry inside. He won 0 out of 7 aerial duels today. I saw that knocking around.
He's awful.
Bro, he's a fatter Tammy. That's all he is, bro. He's a fatter Tammy Abraham. That's all he is, bro. I would rather have Tammy because Tammy still scores goals. Lukaku, this main character syndrome he has where he says, oh, the system doesn't really suit me, whatever crap he was saying. But when you do drift out wide, you can't beat a man one-on-one. You have to take 4 touches to get it out your feet. Like, you can't play like that in the Prem. It's not Serie A, my guy. You can't just have the ball and run into open space. You can't do that. We're not a counter-attacking team. We like to keep the ball. You need to adapt to us. We're Champions League winners. What are you? Oh, you won a Serie A. Well done. Big 28-year-old with 1 Italian trophy. Like, ego. Get him out of the club, man. I'm done with him. And Pulisic and Ziyech today. Clowns, man. Awful. Pulisic, I've never seen a winger so negative today. More than Pulisic. Got the ball, over-dribbled, and just passed backwards. So negative today. Clown. Absolute clown. All 3 of those clowns. Sorry, mate.
I was just going to back you up. So I can confirm Lukaku won 0 aerial duels, and he completed 58% of his passes. Just for
fantastic, well. Brilliant. Yeah. That's what you pay £100 million for. Love that. What do you get for £200 million? I don't know. Tammy Abraham, probably.
Yeah, bro, it's a joke. Like, why did we sell Tammy? At the end of the day, I'd rather have Tammy here, someone who didn't cost us 100 mil. Because who's going to buy Lukaku in the summer? He don't want to be here. He's not performing. Who's got the money to buy Lukaku? And with how he's performing, people ain't going to want to pay anywhere near 100 mil. We'll be lucky to get 50 for him, bro. Inter ain't going to want him back.
Played well after that interview, no one's paying 100 mil because everyone's like he's going to ruin the integrity of our club.
We'll just go back to Inter.
I am literally Newcastle. If you just want a high-profile striker, we got one for you. We know you got bags of money. Take him. We don't want him anymore. I'd rather have Kai Havertz.
If they want the striker to kiss the badge, Lukaku is the one, mate.
Exactly, bro. Like, if you want someone to point to the badge correctly, he can do it. But like Kai Havertz last season when he played against City, and even Werner when he played against City, they played well. But because we have Lukaku, we have to play him. We have to, and we don't look as good against a side like City. We just don't. He can't do anything, man. What did he do today? He plays like he's a small guy in a big guy's body, man. Like, he doesn't realise he's this big, strong guy, bro. And by the 15th minute, he's sweating like a dog, man. Like, where's your cardio at, man? And we can't press with him. What's the point? We can't press with Lukaku in the team. It's like having Ronaldo. You can't press.
This is why I miss you being on here, Con. You make me laugh.
Bro, I'm fuming at him today. Like, If he didn't drop that interview, I'd still be annoyed, right? But the fact he did, I'm so annoyed. It's like, how do you have the audacity? You're crap, mate. I'd rather have Danny Ings. I said it in the summer. If we can't get a striker, get Danny Ings. I'd rather we got him, man. Because if it was a bust, it's 20 mil. Not that big of a deal. But now we got this idiot, man. I'm so angry. I'm going to stop ranting and I'm going to let you guys talk. And I apologise, man.
No, it's all good, bro. It's all good. I mean, Pice, obviously, we've discussed many times before we start the ratings in a second. We've discussed many times, the board don't back, the club or each manager or whatever. But when you look at our attack, Lukaku cost 100 million. Havertz cost 72. And I know they didn't buy them for Tuchel, but I'm saying we invested heavily into having a good attack. We paid 100 million for Lukaku, 72 million for Kai Havertz, 50 odd million for Timo Werner, 60 odd million for Christian Pulisic, 30 odd million for Hakim Ziyech. And then we have add to that Mason Mount and Callum Hudson-Odoi. That's our attack.
And all the ones that cost money are trash.
Let me say one last thing. Like, even when the game was going badly, and I was like, I want to make subs. But do I think any one of these guys that would come on now would change anything? No. The only one I thought maybe Havertz, because he would give us a bit more movement. But do I think that if Havertz got into the chance to score, I know he scored the winner in the Champions League final, I get that. But in current form, in the current situation, would I have expected him to take the chance then? No. Did I expect it for Callum? Did I expect it for Mason? Did I expect it for any of them? No. And it's just... And I don't even think the attackers were the biggest problem. I mean, joint biggest problem, but not like the sole biggest problem. But it's still like... These are all like... How are you all so shit, man? Like, number one, our scout department, who decided that it was a good idea to pay so much money for all of these people. And especially in the case of Kai Havertz and Lukaku, they clearly were good players, great players. So where has that gone? I don't understand.
Because Laurenz, bro, can I make a point on that? It's because Chelsea are an opportunist club. When a good opportunity comes up, we go for it. We don't scout profiles, bro.
Exactly.
That's why we look like this. Lukaku was there. It was just a good opportunity for Chelsea. Didn't matter if it fit Tuchel's system or not. And it's the same with Kai Havertz. Didn't matter if it fit Lampard. We're just opportunists. That's what we are. We don't scout properly. Yeah.
Same with this. Same with Digne. Same with anyone. We're fucking useless.
Yeah, opportunists. We don't scout nothing. Just, if there's a good opportunity, we go for it. We don't scout
useless.
nothing.
Like, and the other thing is, we only like. I come back to the summer. Like, oh my god, we fucking applied for paperwork extra deadline because we couldn't secure a lone fucking player who was absolutely washed in La Liga. And I know he's been good lately, but fuck me, like Tuchel wanted fucking Tchouaméni or Rice in the summer. They did nothing, bro. They did nothing.
Yeah, but that doesn't change the fact that our attackers were expensive.
He wanted wing-backs, bro. He oh, it's just painful. We won a fucking Champions League, and we have these absolute shit squad in front of us. Half of them are not good enough, bro. They're inconsistent, useless idiots. They need to go. But it won't happen. There's too many to get rid of. Tuchel will be the one that goes because it happens every single time. Every manager suffers this fate because they're the ones that get blamed for this. But the fucking scouting and the players are not good enough at this club. It's as simple as that. You can have off games. You'll have 5-10 games a season. Not even 10. You'll have 5-7 games a season where Pulisic will be amazing and Ziyech will have a good left foot shot or a good left foot cross or, you know, as people put in an amazing block or whatever, or Alonso will score a few goals. Or fucking, I don't know, fucking, I don't know, man. Lukaku will probably score 10 Premier League goals. Oh, great, we're building it next season. No, get him gone, man. We need massive changes. Havertz, again, love the guy. Champions League final. When he plays in the league, he's not consistent enough. Not enough goals and assists. Hudson-Odoi, not enough goals. You know, good player. Mount, you know, it's inconsistent sometimes. Great work rate. Got more goals and assists this season, but these are not. It's just there's too much stuff to sort out. Wing backs, depth, shit. It's too much stuff to sort out. It's disgusting. And Tuchel will be the one that gets blamed for this. It's fucking embarrassing.
I mean, that is an outrageous statement by you, Zigzag. TT has been bad tactically the entire season. I appreciate the donation, but that's outrageous. And outrageous.
He's the best manager we'll have in the next 5 to 10 years. I guarantee you that. Guarantee you that. And I wouldn't be surprised if things start fucking kicking off. Because if I was him, I'd be fucking fuming, mate. Biggest league game of the season. He's having to start Alonso and Aspi and recall Kennedy and fucking try and pay for Emerson back. Like, this is a fucking outrage.
I was going to say...
I've been telling you all the time. I fucking bet you he is fuming behind the scenes. I'm not buying this whole press conference bollocks where he smiles and all that. It's bullshit. I'm 100% convinced he is fuming. I would be as well. It's fucking embarrassing.
I was going to say...
I still do think that he got something wrong today, but we'll get to that. Alex,
he did. He did. But the bigger picture and the problems is the fucking board. That's the problems. That's the real problem.
To build on that, I was having a conversation with... Laurenz, I think you guys might know him as well, Gem, CFC Gem the other day, because I was talking to him about Chelsea's board and signings. I actually agree with Colin Pice there about, I don't think the board's like, no one thinks the board is just downright incompetent, bad, like they don't do scouting. I think they do, but you know what I almost think their scouting department was stuck in 2018, 2019 Chelsea, where it's like, it feels like you're shopping for players for when you were still playing counter-attacking football. Like, you think how good Lukaku or Werner would be in the sort of the older Chelsea? Like, Lukaku played at Inter Milan when he was in the counter-attacking system.
But today we played counter-attacking football, and they were still shit.
I guess the difference would be City, obviously, they give you space behind, but they also just kind of swallow you in, and it feels like even if Lukaku gets the ball at the halfway line, he's got pressure on him. I mean, let me be clear, that's no excuse for his touches, but still, I guess it's just like, to build on, I think that's why as well, some of these Chelsea strikers, like Werner especially, they've just not worked out. Because if he came in under Conte maybe a few years ago, he might be in a lot better position. But if he goes to play against like West Ham or whatever, where Chelsea swallow them up and keep him pushed back, he's practically useless. So maybe that's something to consider.
It is. Calidrox, appreciate the donation again. Lukaku, I wish it was just £97, not 97 million. Would be much less of a problem. But, probably more worth £97. But, 97 million on Lukaku, like we just said, 70 on Kai, Pulisic 55, Werner 50, Ziyech. I think it was 32, but still 40, whatever. It's not ideal. What we started last time out, which I'm not sure if Con is aware and Alex is definitely not aware. So we'll leave the goalkeeper to after all of the outfield players, because the goalkeeper rating kind of is a different rating to an outfield player. It's just different. So we'll not let ourselves give Kepa too high a rating or too low a rating and then sway all of our other ratings, because that gets confusing. So let's start with the centre-backs. And let's start with the guy that none of us certainly expected to be starting away at Man City at the start of the season. And yes, I agree with what Con said on the ball. It wasn't good enough. Like, there was a few sometimes he tried long balls, which is just really bad. But I'd rather you try a long ball that goes out of play than, pass it straight to the opponent and then have a sitter. So, you could look at it those ways. But I will also say defensively, I really don't think it was that bad. And let's not forget, that was by far the biggest game. By so far the biggest game Malang Sarr has ever played in his life. So, for considering that, I think he's actually done okay, in all honesty. Obviously, I'm not going to let that sway my rating too much, but I think he's actually done all right. If you consider all of those things, I'll give him a... I mean, the defense overall weren't too bad. I mean, City had 2 or 3 real chances, and the goal they scored was another long-distance shot. So, I don't know. 6.5, maybe? Is that too low? Is it too high? I don't really know. Con, obviously, you weren't particularly happy with Sarr, but would you make of 6.5?
I think that's a tad too high.
Okay.
Defensively, I think he was all right. And considering he's playing next to Alonso, I do think he came in and he looks all right. But you just can't be that bad on the ball, man. You just can't. His long balls were making my heart rate just go up into 4 digits, mate. I was getting so angry every time he tried one of them stupid balls. He's not a good passer of the football, which is fair. He shouldn't even be here, but it is what it is. I would go with what would I go with? I think 6.5 is a bit too high, but I think a 5 is a bit too low, because defensively he was really good today at times.
You can go 6 then if you want.
Yeah, I'll give him a 6 because I'll give him a 6.
I will try to let Alex always go last on these. I hope you don't mind, Alex, just because, our emotional thought at the beginning, and then it could be actually, he did this and actually was great or bad or whatever. I think that makes a lot of sense. Pice, a 6 from Con, a 6.5 from me. Where do you sit on it?
Gonna give him a 6 because I thought he had to cover for Alonso a lot. But again, I mean, he was getting twisted and turned quite a bit. I mean, to be honest with you, he was probably our. I mean, I would say he was our least of our problems, but I mean, he did get attacked so much down that side. But to be honest, for like as Conte, he shouldn't even be here. Like, he shouldn't even be starting. Like, he's supposed to be a cup player. If that, he wasn't, he wasn't even supposed to start Premier League games. So I'll give him a 6. But yeah, I mean, for me personally, I'm surprised Rudiger played on the right. I thought when I saw the lineup, I thought there's no way we're going to be able to handle down that side with Sarr and Alonso, constant overloads. Sterling had an absolute field day. I don't understand you can't play Sarr on the right because he's. Well, I mean, you can. They're both left-footed, so he could have played on the right. But I mean,
No,
Rudiger
Rudiger's right-footed.
He's right-footed or is left-footed?
No, he's
Oh,
right-footed.
okay, all right. Makes more sense then. Yeah, you can't really play Sarr on the right-hand side because
That's was my thinking. Yeah.
But then again, like you could easily just not play Sarr, drop Asby into right centre back, and then play one of the wing backs at wing back, and then it would deal with the pace of the wide players better. So,
what wing backs? We didn't have any wing backs available.
That's what I'm saying. Play one of the wide forwards, like a Pulisic, Hudson-Odoi at wing back, so you could deal with the wide pace better. But we got absolutely destroyed in the pace department. We did. It was constantly.
It is true, but horrible. I'm not sure if they would have had the defensive discipline to like.
Let's put it this way: it would have been better than what we had out there. Let's put it this way: it would have worked better, in my opinion.
It might have been definitely offensively. I'm not sure if defensively, maybe not, but. Does it make a difference when you lose 1-0? Not really. Before I go to Alex, by the way, it seems like the Arsenal-Spurs game tomorrow has actually been called off, which is one of the most outrageous things I've ever heard, because this is 90% due to injuries and African Cup of Nations. Since when is that a reason to get games postponed? Like, Arsenal asked for this game to be postponed, but they were perfectly happy to batter under 23 side of Leeds the other week. They had no problem doing that. But now that it's their problem, and please get it postponed. And as long as it's not Chelsea, of course the Premier League are going to agree. Just when we had 8 or 9 Rona cases, 7 or 8 Rona cases, that didn't matter. Of course not. But Alex, Malang Sarr for you. I mean, you actually probably knew more about Malang Sarr from 2 years ago than any of us did.
Yeah, I was always quite high on him. I think he's slowly coming to form. I will say. I agree with Carlo. I think his passing was good today, but I do think that sort of happened as the game went on. He became less confident, started losing confidence rather. But I think defensively he was good, especially considering the fact that he who shall not be named at left wing back was basically a passenger. So he was often getting 2v1. I think he did really good against Sterling. So I've gone with a 6.
Fair dues. And just quickly, this comment here by Fantasy BJ Football saying, disgrace us, but football is corrupt. Let's not pretend it isn't. It is true. But why can't we at least be corrupt too then? And, play along with the corruption. Why are we the only ones that are not corrupt? Like, sorry? Because everyone's having a go at having a Russian oligarch anyway. So we might as well be corrupt, but apparently we're not. Or at least if we are, we're not very good at being corrupt at least. Like, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, then we have 3 6s and a 6.5. Big up, I'll give you that 0.5, Have it in your heart that I said that. Let's get to Thiago Silva. Good game from him. I do think I was a bit confused why he didn't try to block De Bruyne's shot. He seemed to almost try to get out the way, maybe trying to not deflect it. But I feel like you got to take that risk, man. But it's a tough one. Obviously, we'll talk about Kepa and could he have saved a goal or whatever a little bit later. But otherwise, he had a good game. To be honest, until halfway through the second half, I didn't really notice Silva that much. Like, I don't think we gave him the ball enough in terms of helping us with our build-up, because the way City pressed us, we couldn't really do that. That's why, like, if we don't have Jorginho, we usually give the build-up, what's the word, like, responsibilities a lot to Thiago Silva, but we couldn't really do that today. And obviously the defending came all from the side. And then, like, yeah, I'm sure he cleared a few, but it was more like onto Alonso, Sarr, and Aspi and Rudiger to defend things than it was actually down to Silva. So I don't really know what rating to give him, if I'm being perfectly honest. So I'll hold myself till third, shall we say. And I'll go with you first, Pies. What do you make of Thiago? Do you see what I mean? Like, if you watch, I'm not sure if you've noticed it, but it is a bit weird how he almost turns out of the shot. A bit like David Luiz did it away at City once.
I'll have to rewatch it again, but I don't know. It wasn't really involved much. I just think he'd done his job. The attacks came down the sides, not through the middle. So, don't know. Probably an average rating, 6 maybe. I don't know.
So would you go with the same as Saar? Would you like to have him a little bit higher?
Yeah, 6.5 because a lot of the attacks came down that side of Saar. It's just. Christ, I mean, one thing I will say is if we didn't have his leadership back there today, it probably would have been about 15-0, but, you know.
Yeah, that is the weird thing because I do kind of want to give him a slightly higher rating than his maybe just footballing necessarily deserved, but I think he was desperately important for us to not get battered. I think he played a big role, even if not always with the ball at his feet or with the ball with his feet making tackles or whatever. Con, for you, Thiago Silva slightly above Saar, or would you go with the same as Saar? What would you do?
No, I think you guys summed it up perfectly. I'll give him a 6.5 as well. Not his best game, but he held it down. I was a bit disappointed that he was a bit safe with his passing today, considering he's one of our better passers. But, when we did kick it long anyway, what happened? We lost the ball anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, there's a problem when you sign a 6'3" striker who can't win a single long ball. Like, sorry, we might as well have played Pulisic up top. It would have. He can't win less than 0 out of 7. Like, might as well have done. But yeah, I probably agree with you boys and go with the 6.5. Let's see what Alex says. Do you think giving him higher than size unfair, or how do you see it? Even like, do you give leadership a rating, or how does that work?
Yeah, no, I'd give him a 7 because I think he organised that defence quite well. Like you could see him pointing all over the place, making sure Chelsea are in shape. I've been looking at the goal just now. I guess it's not great the way he gets out of the way. My theory would be, so generally when you're a defender in that position, you want to block like the 2 or 3 yards of the goal that the goalkeeper's not going to be able to reach, and he covers the rest of it, so the whole goal's clear. So I guess my only theory is that he's trying to cover that side of the goal, and he's getting out of the way to make sure Kepa can see the shot the whole way. And then,
which I don't think he did, though. I don't think Kepa did see it the whole way.
Yeah, I guess we'll talk on it a bit more. I would need to rewatch it a bit, but my theory at the moment is Kepa and Thiago Silva's got mixed up in which part of the goal they're about to shield, and that's where it comes in. But generally, actually,
I also think they both got a bit done by De Bruyne. I think both expected a near post finish because, I mean, we'll talk about Kepa later, but Kepa took a step to the other post, and then De Bruyne shot far post, and that's why Kepa didn't get there. Like, yes, if Mendy takes the step because of his long arms, he probably still saves it. But if Kepa doesn't do the step, he saves it as well. But you could also give a little bit of credit to De Bruyne for almost faking it. I don't know. It's difficult for me to judge how much did Kepa see, how much did he not. But again, we'll get to that a little bit later. But fair enough. You gave him a 7. Obviously, it's 3, 6.5, so we'll stick to that. But move on to Antonio Rudiger. I actually thought Rudiger was pretty good. I can't remember what of Pice and Clutch said, and Con said he wasn't doing enough. I'm not sure why I agree with you that he didn't do the runs like he usually does. I think it was Con that said it. But I don't think playing on the right or left really changes whether he can or not. Because in the first half, there was moments where he ran, not with the ball, we just ran up the pitch. But I feel like that was more down to City, and whether he played on the left or on the right, I don't think he would have done many runs with the ball the way City pressed us, because I don't think that would have gone particularly well. But do I think defensively, he was definitely the best defender, I thought, like the one that got beat the least. I mean, at least from, judging with the eye test, as they say. I don't know if that's with stats also correct, but that's what I thought I saw. Even though him and Aspie had a few disagreements, misunderstandings and disagreements. But from me, I would probably give Rudiger 7, but yeah, I wouldn't go higher than a 7, would I? Pice, what about you?
Yeah, I'll be along those lines, to be fair. Yeah, I thought he dealt with Grealish quite well. But again, we just really missed his, runs down the left-hand side when he plays left centre-back, and had a couple of decent balls, or tried a couple of decent balls over the top. But again, it's not the same angles as left centre-back for me. It's hard. 7. To be honest, I don't really know what to give the defence. We lost 1-0. I thought our defensive structure was okay, but it wasn't. The main problems was going forward. I don't think the main problems was defending, apart from the left hand side. I really don't. I thought we did well until 70 minutes.
That is true, and I see some people you saying in the chat saying 8 easily, 7 is too low, man. For just defensive work, I agree, but it goes for Saar, Thiago, and Rudiger. None of them were quite good enough in passing it out from the back. And we need to pass it out from the back to beat City, because beat their press and you have space. And yes, we had space a couple of times and we should have done better in those occasions. But the more opportunities you give the attacker to have space, the easier you, or the bigger the likelihood of them pulling it off once or twice. If they only have 3 occasions, 4 occasions, 5 occasions, then it's more difficult than if they have 15. I'm not saying, again, not trying to take blame from the forwards. Of course not. We'll get to those. But yeah, but also global. Sorry, bro. I just cannot go along with you. Like, honestly, if anyone defends Lukaku after this, you're in my head. I don't understand how your brain works, if I'm being perfectly honest. But Con, 7 for Rudiger, fair for you, or go on? What were you going to say?
Nah, yeah, I think 7's fair. I don't think Asby did him a lot of favours today at times. I don't know why Asby kept pushing up to try to intercept Cancelo when Cancelo was just knocking it past him majority of the time. Cancelo's so good on the ball and he kept doing that. So Rudiger had to, I don't know, he had a lot of covering for Asby to do today, which is rare to say. When you're saying that about Azpilicueta, maybe the time's over. But against Grealish as well, Grealish just literally just cuts back and passes, as all this guy does. I swear, 100 million for that. I thought it was good. And that point when it was offside, I think anyway. But that ball into the box was really good, and Rudiger anticipated it, played to the whistle well there. So yeah, 7 for me.
Fair dues. And Euro expert, it just read your name out what I saw on screen. Alex, would you go with 7 as well? Or?
Yeah, I go with 7. Not anything high, just because I guess we're so used to seeing Rudiger sort of control games. So it's a bit sad because it's fun when he does that, but he didn't get to see much. And there's literally in the first 60 seconds, he pushed really high up. And I thought, oh my God, he could do some really good, dangerous things here. And that was about the only time he managed to push up throughout the entire game. So yeah, I'd go with 7, I guess.
Fair dues. Let's get to a man who made life extra difficult for him today, because he managed to get himself booked after 5 minutes. So as much as Alonso is kind of bad for the most part, as much as playing against Kyle Walker and Raheem Sterling is difficult enough for him anyway, because they're 2 of the fastest players in the whole league, and he's probably the slowest player in the whole league. Don't get yourself booked after 5 minutes, but at the same time, his defending was just so bad that at that point he probably had to tear him down. I don't know, but I mean, some people in the chat said 1 or 0 in comparison to other. Do I think he was bad? Yes. Do I think he was that much? Unless we give half the rest of the team 1s and 0s, I don't think we should give Alonso a 1 or a 0 either. But should it be a high rating? No. I was going to say 3, just because I think also part of the blame is also Tuchel, because we just didn't try to threaten City, and we didn't even allow Alonso to use the few strengths he has, and they're not a lot, but the few strengths he has, the way we played, he was never going to use those, so he was never going to be good. So that's why I don't want to be super harsh and go 0 or 1, but it was obviously still bad. Con, 3 for you, too high?
Way too high, bro. Way too high. I'm giving this guy a 1 today. Sterling made him strip today, let's be honest. And that's Sterling. I don't even rate Sterling. This guy's washed and he still managed to absolutely rinse him down that side. When Kepa went long to him, he just got bullied off. He never won the header. He just fall to the ground trying to get a free kick. And there was one point when he was on the attack and he tries to do this bit of skill. And he sort of falls over and loses the ball. What are you doing, you idiot? Bro, this guy is not good enough to be a Premier League left back or left wing back. He's not. And look how much money he's on. Look how much money he's on. He's still a living. He's going to be here till he retires, man. We just have to accept that. But he's getting a 1 today. It was the worst performance. One of the worst performances I've seen from him. Just didn't contribute. And even when it was, I think, from a corner, when he allowed Stones just to jump over him, man. He didn't even use his height today. So what was the point of him playing, man? Honestly, what was the point? You might as well put me at left wing back. At least I wouldn't have stripped as much as he did against Sterling. I got a bit more pace, How he's still at Chelsea Football Club, I don't know. Because how many times have we said something like this about an Alonso performance? And it's not an agenda. Everybody can just see it with their eyes. He's crap. 1. And he's lucky he's getting that.
Fair dues. Pies, do you go along with Konya?
Yeah, apart from the rating, I give him a fucking -50. I thought he was absolutely shit. Absolutely shit. Useless. doesn't do anything for our attacks, cannot defend, got a yellow card within 6 minutes. You know what's funny? I actually said to my mate, because I don't bet, but I said to my mate, bro, you should put Alonso yellow card within the first 10 minutes. He did. He won some money because he got booked in the 6th minute.
Pies, you know Dan,
useless.
right? Pies, you know Dan,
He's
he put
useless.
yellow. He did a bet for Kovacic and Alonso to get yellow carded today.
It's just
See, like, Chelsea fans put bets on Alonso getting yellow carded. That says it all, doesn't it?
6 minutes.
Easy money.
6 minutes, and that meant Sterling could run at him all game. It completely ruined his game because of his own doing. Well done. 0.
Yep.
Shocking. Get gone. Get rid. Get him out. Awful.
It's true. It is true. And like recently, like we gave him like 6s, 6.5s the last couple of games. He's not even been that shocking, but Alonso's just not the level to play against Man Bloody City. It's just not good enough. That's his fault.
Bro, he should be.
But also
He should be in
like,
the.
go back to the whole shouting problem.
Laurenz, he should be in the Spanish second division, start panning free kicks or something.
Facts.
This guy.
Facts.
And the thing is, he plays for the
people-
Spain national team. Like, how bad
For
must they be?
people to tell me he is a good wing back, are you dumb? He is shocking. He is not a good wing back. He is terrible. Absolutely terrible. Maybe he was okay. Maybe he was good during Conte. That's 16-17 season. Like, what the fuck is this?
21,
He's
22,
shit.
man. It's crazy.
Oh my God, just please. I can't watch another game with him, honestly. Oh, just please don't put me through the pain of watch, please.
Alex.
I'm begging you.
And sorry, that means to interrupt, Lawrence, but the funny thing is, the board are either going to bring in Emerson or keep Kennedy, which means Alonso's going to be the main star until Chill rolls back. Which, let's go, lads.
Not even at the start of next season, by the way. We're just halfway through next season, potentially after the World Cup. So it's another essentially year of Alonso.
I literally want to scream in the board's face for 20 seconds. It's just fucking hell. Are you serious?
Just,
What is wrong?
Alex,
Yeah,
how do you
you're
see?
right.
Obviously,
Right. I'm begging for Kennedy. Come on, some Brazilian flip-flap sauce, please. Anything.
Yeah, I'm a big fan. Go on, start Kennedy next week. Go on then. Even though the guy hasn't trained since like December 6th or something. Alex, obviously, maybe a little bit emotional. I'm not sure if in normal ratings you would ever go like 0 or 1, but maybe you would. So, what's your assessment of Alonso?
No. You've brought me on to give, tactical in-depth thoughts. So I've brought it for Alonso. So when you watch the Wembley Cup and they have like a bunch of YouTubers, but then they like throw Cafu on the right. That's what it's like. It's like DT from AFTV, but Cafu. And that's what I view Alonso as. He is the slowest footballer I've seen in the Premier League this season. It's unbelievable. It's a 3 out of 10, which might seem relatively high, it appears. But at least I think we can all agree he's the second lowest rated player on the pitch. Well, I imagine.
Sorry, what did you just say there?
I'm going to imagine he's a 3 out of 10 for me. Okay. But I was saying, I imagine Alonso, he's the second lowest rated player we have on the pitch today. Maybe joint lowest.
Let's see if one of Ziyech or Pulisic,
money, bro.
Give him a little bit of a run for that money. But yeah, we sit on the 2 in the end. I mean, some people in the chat were talking about like 5s and 6s. Some people were more on the 3 wavelength, and some people were along Connor Pies and went for 0s and 1s. So it's like very split, it seems. Other side, Azpilicueta. Azpilicueta. I almost feel bad for him, like that he has to play wingback. Like the guy at 32 or whatever he is not supposed to play wingback against Manchester City.
Yeah, bro. Like I'm not gonna like what I say because I love Azpi. He's one of my favorite players of Chelsea of all time. I'm not gonna lie, I really do love him. But this guy, his career at Chelsea looks done, doesn't it? Let's be honest. Let's call a spade a spade. Today he had times where he was all right at best, he did struggle. I don't know why he kept going out to Cancelo and pressing high. And so many times he just got played in behind him. Like, stop doing it, man. Just stop doing it, Aspie. I beg, please. Stop. Oh, 3 today for Aspie, bro. He was horrible going forward, always playing it back. These crosses into the box were poor. Defensively, he's a bit sus. Rudiger bailed him out a few times. I'm giving him the 3 because I don't know, there's a bit of bias there and I like him.
Fair. No, I do see. I do though think the whole him pressing Cancelo, I think, is a little bit down to him being kind of one of the only ones that actually followed Tuchel's instructions, and that made him look worse because nobody else did. I do think that is a little bit comes into play here, but you're not wrong. Anyway, if the rest of the team isn't doing it, he should probably also not do it. Although at the same time, he was probably
To counter that point, bro. To counter that point, do you remember that goal Liverpool scored when Aaron Wan-Bissaka tried to run out and press, and everybody got onto Wan-Bissaka for doing that? Like, I get if he's following an instruction, but also look around you. If there's no one else pressing, you don't go because you're just going to leave a massive space, you know? Like, if the guys in front of you are not pressing...
How do you, as the captain, ever get the rest of the team to press if you don't do it either?
Use your mouth. Shout. Come on, lads. That's what Aspi don't do enough, bro.
Clearly that didn't work.
Yeah, like, come on, lads. Press. Lukaku, run for once, bro. Stop walking everywhere. Ziyech, look like you give a shit. Pulisic, do something. Get in the game. Like, shout, you know? Shout, be a leader. And this is what I kind of hate about Aspi at times. He's a leader by example, and I love him for that. He's a great professional. He works hard. He's what every pro should be. But when it comes to, like, voicing and, like, telling people what to do, he's just not quite it, man. And it's sad to see, but
what I don't like is when he goes to the ref, he always looks so whiny. I'm like, can you look less like whiny and just more like assertive? Now, that's what I would like to see. But obviously, that has nothing to do with how he plays football. I just don't like him to look so whiny. This is a whiny expression every time he goes to the ref. I'm like, oh, no, ref, how could you do this to me? Sorry, how could you ever do this to me? How could you betray me like that? That's what he looks like. But, yeah, 3. I gave Alonso a 3, so I'm going to give Aspi a 4 because that side would sound better. Maybe even a 5. Like, do I think Aspi was that much worse than Malangzar? Do I really think that?
Lawrence, with these high ratings, bro, I'm so tempted just to tell you to look off the stream and watch that game again because you seem so high, brother.
I get what you're saying, but if we gave Saar a 6, I'm like, was Aspi worse than Saar? Or so much anyway that I should give him a 4?
Yeah, bro. Saar was solid defensively. His passing was crap, but Aspi's passing was crap as well. And defensively, he weren't good as Saar. So he's worse, bro.
No, he was worse, but I'm thinking more if I do 4 or 5 is what I'm saying.
I think you go 4.
I go 4. I go 4.
Yeah, well, we always give positive performance when we win like a 1-0 that we shouldn't have won. But today, when we actually did like a state, they're taking it out in the ratings today. Yeah, you're getting low ratings, lads.
No, fair dues. I'll give him a 4. Sorry, that leaves us at a 3.5 currently. Vice, what about you then?
Yeah, I kind of get your point of like, was he that much worse than Saar? But I don't know. I'm really stuck. Like, I thought he was okay, but again, it's just lack of pace. You know, no attacking threat. I mean, even though there was one chance where I think late on in the game when we was 1-0 down, he put a ball across the box, and one of the commentators went, "Oh, that's a very threatening ball." I was like, "Motherfucker, you just put it into the keeper's arms." Like, it wasn't a threatening ball.
But if Timo slid for it, he might have got there.
but like the actual cross had like no intent on it. Like, you know what I mean? Every time he crosses, it's like such a weak. Like, how do you explain? Like with James, he fucking whips them. You know,
no pace on the ball.
Yeah, like it's just like. I don't know. I'm stressed. I don't know.
You're gonna go 4. You're gonna go 3. You're gonna go 5. Or something in the middle, obviously.
I think I'm going to have to go 4 because, like, I can't... I mean, I blame Alonso because he's so shit going forward, but... And then I can't then say, oh, well, Aspi was average going forward. He was shit going forward, so...
Yeah.
Like, and again, his lack of legs come into that. Like, and then again, I go back to the board. Why are these motherfuckers starting in 2022? I love Aspi, but why is he starting, man? Like, you should have
especially at wing back. Like, right centre back is one thing, but...
Look,
and Gitty,
I don't know.
Sorry, in the chat, Gitty, we'll get to Kepa after the other outfield players.
Like, I just want to say one more thing. I don't know if Dest is a good solution, but he's quick. He can play wing back when James isn't injured.
Yeah,
he's quick.
Pulisic and Callum are quick.
Huh?
Pulisic and Callum are quick, or Timo Werner, we don't want them playing wing back.
No, but you get what I mean. Dest is natural, like, he's coachable. Like, he's not a winger, like, going wing back. He can play wing back. He's good at wing back. He's young. You know what I mean? Like, he's coachable. At least fucking try something. Like, it's just, there's not been any negotiations for anyone apart from trying to bring back Emerson, who we've said 100 times Tuchel didn't start him over Alonso anyway, so we're fucked. We're fucked.
Yeah.
We're fucked.
We're
And then
kinda-
even if he does start, there's major questions whether he's the required quality. Yeah, he can get up and down a bit more. Does he have a good cross? No. Is he good defensively? No, not really. Kennedy, like don't even start that. Yeah, just move on. I'm gonna go on forever otherwise. Just move on.
Yeah, there you go, Alex. Before we get to the super chat, I'll ask you, Aspie, 4 too low for you? Is it roughly where you put him as well?
I have to be honest. When the ball was on that side, I was looking at how City kind of pulled it apart. So I originally had them as a 5, but hearing you guys talk, I feel like I just kind of how bad he was in some areas went under my radar. So I'm gonna drop him down to a 4.5.
Fair dues. Fair dues. Before we move on to the midfield, and I do need to move this on because we're already here for an hour and we still have lots to talk about. But Fernando, I appreciate the super chat a lot, saying TT wants defensive players to attack, same mistake as in October. They're mentally weak and revert to type. Send Lukaku back to stat padding league. I mean, we love Tammy, yeah, but even Tammy's doing well in Serie A. Not even for that great a team. So, you know.
Tammy is better than Lukaku. I'll say it now, bro. At least
there you
for
go.
us.
All Serie A tax is just as big as Bundesliga tax.
No, but well, at least for us in this system right now, he would be better because he pressed like mad. Tammy, the one thing is he pressed like mad, and he scored goals. Like they were, they may have been tap-ins or he may have had the old stinker and stuff, but at least he fucking tries. Like that's the one thing I'm getting annoyed with Lukaku now is like he said. I was willing to give him another chance after this interview where he said, you don't need to question my commitment. You don't need to question my passion for this club. Why? Well, are you sure? Are you fucking sure? Like after these games, are you sure? I'm questioning it. Like, what are you doing, man? You fucking try. So lazy, bro. Like Laurenz, you actually said this at the start. Like, and we'll get on to Lukaku, but you said this when he joined, like West Ham and stuff. He weren't moving. I was like, yeah, he may not be fit, but he's fit now. So try. You know what I mean? Actually do something. So fucking useless, man. I can't give any more excuses for this guy.
Sorry, I was muted. At the time, your defense was at least had certain legs to it because obviously he wasn't fit. But now it just makes me angrier and angrier. Then I'm like, I already said it then. Maybe I was a little bit harsh after West Ham because he wasn't fully fit. But we find out that very close to that West Ham game, he said in an interview, he's doing perfectly well. He's fully fit. So should we have ever given him the excuse? I don't know. But let's move on to the midfielders. Let's do N'Golo Kante first because he was arguably a little bit more defensive. Now, I don't know how everyone sees this, but yes, De Bruyne did really well to stay up through Kante's challenge. But Kante needs to just take De Bruyne down there. Like, if you go for the tackle, you need to and you miss the ball. At that point, you need to make sure he gets taken down. You have to. You just have to. Was he that bad otherwise? Defensively, he was decent. There was a few decent interceptions in there, but offensively, there wasn't enough, like, runs whenever he received the ball. He used a simple pass, never, like, anything, like, difficult to like release some pressure. Kovac at least tried a few times. Yeah, also messed it up a few times. So at least he tried a few times, which is why he messed up a few times. And that's similar, not today, but that's often with Ziyech. Yes, Ziyech often doesn't have as good a pass accuracy as other players, but that's because he tries more difficult passes. Obviously, if you just put it 5 meters backwards every time, then you're going to have a good pass percentage. That's just how it works. But yeah, Kante, I don't know. I really don't know, honestly. I'll say 6, but I could be way off the mark from what you guys are going to say. Honestly, maybe I'll say 5.5. I'll stick with the 6, but I'm happy to be swayed in, to be honest, either direction, if I'm being perfectly honest. Who do I go with first?
Can I go first this one, bro?
Of course. Go on.
I'll give him a 5 today, maybe a 4.5. If we were just going to sit back today, why didn't we play Jorginho over him, by the way? What was the point?
Yeah,
against Liverpool,
anyway, what's the point? Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, you might as well just have Jorginho because, for one, he's better playing like against the press, and two, we as a team are better from playing out from a press when Jorginho's there because he's always dictating where people should go, where the passes should go. He's always making himself available for a pass. And N'Golo, every time he's pressed, he does this stupid little lofted pass. And the person who receives it, who's under pressure, has to take it under control. And it just slows down the play and we end up losing the ball because they can't take a clean first touch. It's so annoying with him. And do you remember that game against Liverpool, bro? The 5-3 at Anfield, when Jorginho should have took out, who was it? Who was running?
Whoever it was, but I know.
But you know what I'm talking about, right? And everybody's like, you should have took him out because that led to the goal. It was the same with N'Golo today. Just take him out. You just got to be strong there. Eat the yellow card and go forceful in. Because when De Bruyne got past Kante there, I was like, we're in trouble. It gave me flashbacks to that 1-0 loss against City. Do you remember when De Bruyne did that before? When he just ran and shot the edge of the box and buried it. It's PTSD from that. Did the same thing, man. So for me, it's like a 5 hinging on a 4.5. I'm in between those because it's one of his poorest games today from the N'Golo. I hate to say it 'cause I love the guy, but it's really a poor game. I think Jorginho should have started over him.
Maybe he should have done. It's a tough one. I mean, someone said obviously he just came back from the Rona, which he did, but obviously it's for us as fans. I can't now completely say, okay, that's why it's fine, because I don't know, did it actually affect him or did it not? Because Kante is out so often and comes back and plays well. So if he usually can do that, why can't he do it now? But obviously the Rona might affect the body.
Well, I mean, Laurenz, Tuchel did say he rushed both him and Silverback today. So
he did, but he says that every time about Kante, and Kante plays well anyway.
Yeah, no, but I think in terms of like, just one thing is like, usually Kante got on mad dribbles, like runs forward, doesn't he? He goes and drives. I think Kovacic was the one doing that today. Kante seemed very sort of reserved, and I think that could have been something to do with his fitness or being rushed back because.
Well, or one of them just had to stay, I suppose. That's what we usually say when they.
Yeah, but then that never usually happens when they both play though, because that's oftentimes
switch the responsibility. Yeah, you're right.
That's oftentimes why we want Jorginho on, because we're like, oh shit, they're both going forward. Like, there's not really, there's no control here. They're very, you know what I mean? That's what it was like against Liverpool as well. It was just constantly both them going forward, and that's why. We had a lot of attacking transitions, but because Kante sat deeper today, it was like, I think it helped a bit with the defence, but then it hindered us because we only really had Pulisic going forward. So,
yeah, because Pulisic and Ziyech were essentially useless. But what rating would you go for with Kante?
Me, I'd go probably bog standard 5.
Fair dues. Yeah, like I said, I mean, I could really decide between anywhere from 5 to 6, if I'm being perfectly honest. And before I go to Alex, this super chat by Bob here, appreciate it a lot, as I do with everybody, of course, saying, how did none of our UCL find an attacker start today? Now, this is a good question, especially for, I guess, Mount, but especially Havertz for me. But obviously, part of that is that we need different attributes in attack when you have very different wingbacks. I suppose that, like, there's, if we had Reece James and Chilwell, maybe it would have been the same Champions League attack, but Lukaku instead of Havertz, probably, because that's just what happens when you sign players for 100 million. They just start, even though they should be rotting in the reserves after certain interviews. But Alex, Kante, 5 for you, higher for you? It's a tough one, really, but maybe you saw it in a different way to me.
No, I'll kind of go with 5. I've got weird things I found about Kante today, though. Obviously, like, main thing he does is win the ball back. He didn't complete a tackle for 55 minutes, and then in the last 35ish, he completed 5 in one go. So it feels like he took a while.
Which doesn't sound like he wasn't fit enough if he did it in the last 35 minutes.
Or maybe it just took a while to get going. But I do think what plays into that he wasn't fit enough was, I think, the one thing that's been really good, not one thing, but the thing that's been really good about Kante's this move to Chelsea is his forward runs. Like, he can always carry the ball up the pitch. He could just break the lines. And I can't remember him doing that at all today. He felt too safe, I guess. I agree. I think Jorginho would have been the better pick today. So I'll go over 5.
But would you have picked Jorginho over Kante, or would you have picked him over Kovacic?
If it was pre-game, I would have gone Kovacic and Jorginho. But after seeing how City prepared for Kovacic, which get onto, they gave him no space. I might have mixed up a bit.
Fair dues, and global. Yes, it will for the rest of my entire life until we get at least 100 million back. Otherwise, it will haunt me, and I will write it on my gravestone. You said 5 as well, yeah? Did you, Alex? Sorry, sometimes I read the chat and I don't hear what people say.
5.
I apologize. Let's get to cover. I'm intrigued to see what Pi says as well, because already judging from the chat, there's a lot of people that have different opinions, because cover was literally both so hot and cold today at the same time in the same game, because he had some awful moments, like literally gifting Grealish as big a chance as Lukaku had, but Kepa, miraculous save from Kepa, in my opinion. Sure, Grealish should do better, but it's still a good save. And he obviously released Lukaku for our sitter. So there's already the 2 on cold, basically responsible for both huge chances in the game aside from the goal. Gave the ball away on a number of occasions, but again, I do think that is to some extent because he was the only one trying to dribble out or the only one trying to pass it out. So it is going to go against his rating. Of course, that he lost the ball in too many occasions, but at the same time, I will also not be as harsh because he was the only one who tried it. If he wasn't the only one who tried it, he wouldn't have had to try it on so many occasions when he probably knew this is risky. So I think a little bit. So I will give him a 6. I think it was better than Kante, but I do think he did too much defensively crazy to get like a 6.5 or 7 or higher for me. So that's why I'm going to go 6. But Pice, do you see where I'm coming from with that? I presume you also agree that he was hot and cold, but do you think his offensive, contributions were enough to go higher than a 6?
Yeah, I thought he battled hard.
Yeah, he did.
I think
the only one that tried, man.
Yeah, at least a 6 for me. Maybe a 6.5, but I do agree with you for the overconfident dribbles. It's what I replied to Alex Goldberg is that's one of the obviously downfalls when you're such a confident dribbler. Sometimes you don't really check your surroundings. You sort of feel a player near you and you go for the dribble and then lose it. Can happen, but he hardly ever loses it, to be fair. He's fucking insane at taking people on, but again, it nearly cost us today. So it does go against his rating, but other than that, I didn't really think he was cold, to be honest. I thought overall he's very consistent in the midfield. I thought he got the ball forward, should have had an assist, battled and worked hard. I'd be inclined to give him a 6.5, but I'll give him a 6 because I do see it as a whole rating better than Kante, but obviously because of him losing the ball, I don't think you can go too high, but I thought he was very, very decent all round, to be honest.
I mean, I do see what someone in the chat said as well. Like the midfield was bad today. Ratings are high. In a way, I see it, but it's difficult to know who to blame as an individual. And sorry, Global, but no, you need to grow up because yes, Kepa made a good save, and I literally said Grealish has to score it anyway. That literally exists. I expect a striker to score a 1-on-1 with the goalkeeper. But if the goalie saves it, of course the goalie did well, but that doesn't mean the striker shouldn't have bloody scored it. Grealish should have scored it. And Lukaku should have scored it.
And
Lukaku is the striker here, by the way. Grealish isn't. Sorry.
Laurenz, by the way, also, is we don't have, Lukaku is the main guy that's supposed to come in and score our goals. So you have 15 other attackers apart from Grealish. So when Grealish missed that chance, oh well, they've still got Sterling, Jesus off the bench. They've still got, Foden, De Bruyne. It's different levels. There's a much more importance on Lukaku scoring goals for us than there is for Grealish,
That is very true. Kovacic for you, 6.5, lower?
Weird performance to rate because at times, you're so right, it was hot and cold at times. But I just want to say, I was just reading the chat while you guys were talking about the cover, and some people saying that 4-2. You guys are actual clowns. I'm sorry, I don't mean to piss people off. They're clowns. If he just plays safe today, didn't try to dribble, didn't try to do anything, and just play it safe, you'd probably say, oh, yeah, it was a 5 or something like that. But you're giving him a 2 because he tried to do stuff. He gave a 100 mil striker a sitter for his standards. He did do well defensively, by the way. He's not like he was a complete bum defensively. He was right. He was covering everywhere.
That was a silly tackle.
No, it was a silly. Yeah, no, that was a silly tackle. But that's because of a Kante mistake, by the way, because he gave away the ball, and then he was through, so he took him out. What Kante should have done to De Bruyne. But yeah, we're not objective in this fan base, are we? No, we're not. No, I'm done. Kovacic looked like the only Chelsea player today worth any sort of quality. Yes, two times where he nearly cost us. Sure, but if he wasn't playing with absolute dross around him, Asby, Sarr, Alonso, even Kante on the ball. These guys can't do anything in the ball. You pass it to them, they boot it long, it goes out of play, it goes to a City player. So of course he's going to try something, and you're having a go about him for that. But then if he doesn't try anything, you could be moaning about that as well. Man City are one of the best pressing teams in world football, by the way. You expect everything to do like he does is going to work out? Of course not. Get your head out your ass, man. To say he was a 2 or 4 is ridiculous. Just stop with that. Just stop. It's ridiculous, man. 6 is... I think very fair. And if he didn't give away them 2 opportunities, he could have been a 7 or 8 today. That's my opinion. And if you don't like it in the chat, then that's your problem, innit? 'Cause I don't really care.
There you go. There you go. Back that. Alex, I mean, Fantasy PJ Joy is really trying to make you give us a much lower rating. So I'm intrigued to what you made of Kovacic, because he did give the ball away, but he did also create our only real big chance that we had.
Well, much to Con's delight, I'll give him a 2. No. I think he was a 6. I'm actually on the same lines. You look at that midfield. Azpilicueta, Kante, Alonso. Who's the only one who's going to progress the ball? Is Kovacic. And the reason he didn't have a game that everyone could praise today is because Manchester City knew that. They targeted him. You could see every time the ball moved to the left, they kind of gave Alonso a bit of space. They always knew he was going to pass inside, and they just hounded Kovacic every time he got it. I think the only 2 times I can remember him having a bad moment that wasn't because he was getting hounded by Manchester City was the pass. I think his attempted through ball later on after breaking through, where it went into Rosed. And I think when he lost the ball, even this argument, when he lost the ball quite close to go under pressure, and then Kepa had to make that save. That's the only time really. So I've got him as down as a 6 because I think he was Chelsea's most competent midfielder.
Spot on. See there, and that's a guy who doesn't really support Chelsea anymore. That's an unbiased opinion. So you got to tell him he's biased. You gonna say he's biased, guys?
Some people will do.
Oh, is it double standard? He said exactly. City knew Kovacic was the only progressor we had today. Is Alonso Asby going to progress the ball? Of course not. Of course not. It's Kante. With enough space, he can progress it. But when you pin him like that, what's he going to do? He's just going to pass backwards like he always does. And they just hounded Kova. And for the fact that he was hounded so much, he still created the best chance of the game. That's mad. And you're saying he was a 2, guys. Come on.
Exactly. And also, just quickly, fantasy. None of us were saying Kova was, Pice a little bit, but Kova wasn't good. Kova was just decent. That's why he's getting a 6. 6 doesn't mean he was good. It's just decent. But I'm going to call you Pile because I'm just going to butcher your first name. Appreciate the donation, saying we need to swap Kane for Lukaku. Kane can assist. See, that would be the most Chelsea thing I've ever seen. Sign Kane once he's, for the first time in 5 years, out of form. That would be such a Chelsea thing to do. And then it'd be dog shit for us as well, just like Lukaku is. Let's move up to the front 3 because people were saying ratings are too high. Well, that's going to stop now. So, let's do Pulisic first. It's weird to compare Pulisic and Ziyech because they were roughly equally as bad. But Ziyech in a way of being involved and being bad every time he did something, and Pulisic was bad by not being involved. But they were just both bad. Like Pulisic, can you still run? Did he lose his R2 button or something? That's what he looks like. Looks like he's just lost it. Maybe smacked himself against the wall too hard. When you're fuming at FIFA and you just chuck it against the wall and then you R2 button is broken, you can't run. That's what Pulisic plays like and has played not for a hot minute. Do you know what I mean? I don't understand. But was he shockingly shit awful? No, because he never had the ball to be shockingly shit awful.
Yes, he was.
But let me say what I'm trying to say. Because he was, but because he never even essentially tried to get the ball. That's what he looked like. But did he do shit things with the ball at his feet? Not so much, but that's because he never had the ball. So, for me, I would go 3 like I did for Alonso. That's what I'll do. Con. I'll go Pice next. What do you reckon, Pulisic? Is 3 too high? Is it too low?
I'm trying to think about this because I'll go with a 3. I'm so tempted to go with a 2 as well. I'm not gonna lie. He was so negative today. I know he was frozen out of the game quite a lot, but when he had it, he was so negative, man. And he was over dribbling every single time. If he wasn't passing back, he was over dribbling. That chance when when he tried to put in that low cross. Why don't you just put it in quicker? Why take them extra 3 or 4 touches? You don't need to, mate. And there was another time in the second half when he had it quite essentially, and he was just dribbling instead of just releasing the ball. And then every time he did get the ball barred, he was just going backwards. It was just so negative from him today, and it was really poor from him, man. It's really poor. He's probably our most direct winger, and if he's playing that negative, what chance do we stand, man? What chance do we stand? There's no point. So, you know what? I'm giving him 2.5 and we'll go in between.
Fair dues. Fair dues. I don't disagree. Like whether it's 2, whether it's 3, whether it's 4, I think I could probably be swayed to all of those if I'm being perfectly honest. Just because I didn't see enough of him to really like. I'm more criticizing him for not being on the ball rather than criticizing him for anything he did, if that makes sense. But Pice, obviously, he was bad. But how bad, and how would you explain why he was bad?
Like you just said, didn't get involved in a massive game like this against Man City. You need to take responsibility. It's not like we've got a 19 or 18-year-old kid out there. Like this guy's got bags of experience for his age. I mean, just because he wasn't as bad as Alonso on the ball, I'll give him a 1, but nothing higher than that.
Fair dues.
Sorry, I don't mean to butt in, Laurenz. Sorry, just something quickly came to my head. In the first half, do you remember when he was like dribbling through the centre?
Yeah.
Like it was quite early on in the game, and then he just stopped. He turned and he passed backwards. Why? I don't get it.
No idea. But also because Ziyech's too slow, so why did he stop? And Lukaku, I mean, is the most immovable object I've ever seen. Maybe we should play Lukaku in goal. We'd never concede again. He can't move anywhere. Like, it's just hard, man. Honestly, Alex, for you, Pulisic. Like, I presume it's also difficult for you because he didn't touch the ball much. But how much value do you give not touching the ball much? Like, how much value of it in a negative way do you give it? That the fact that he didn't make sure he got the ball more.
Well, the better question is how much did he touch the ball? And here's the thing: if you add the number of ball touches of Ziyech and Pulisic together, you put them both together, it's still not as much as Kepa. That's how little involved they were in the game.
Maybe we should lower these ratings for the midfielders as well. I can't lie because you also need to give them the ball.
Yeah, I'm kind of on the same lines as you in terms of. So I do match notes during the game, and I've got quite a few that say Ziyech horrible pass. I've got nothing. I've got nothing on Pulisic. So like
because he did nothing though. He did nothing.
Yeah. So
he did
he
nothing to put stuff down on your piece of paper. That's what I mean. Like it's.
But he did apparently have more touches than Ziyech, which didn't look like it to me. I can't lie.
Yeah,
but at least whenever Ziyech got the ball, again, not saying he was good. We'll get to him in a second. But at least he tried to pass forwards for the most part. Pulisic got the ball, ran 2 meters, passed it back every time. So, yeah. But then maybe he was more involved. But that makes him worse again. So maybe I need to agree with the two. I can't lie. But Alex, what rating would you put on it? Like I said, I understand it's difficult.
Yeah, I guess it almost feels kind now. I had this written down before we started giving out ones, by the way, but it's a 4.
Fair. And push it up back to a 3. That's totally fair enough, I think. And let's move to the other side. Do you know what? I did say I want to go with Alex last every time. Now, you know what? I'll go with Lukaku. On Lukaku, I'll let you go first.
Yeah.
Let's stick Ziyech. Let's stick for Ziyech. Let's have you go last. Like, Ziyech had one acceptable cross, in my opinion, in the first half. People will say it came short, but no. What came short was Lukaku, who hid behind the far centre-back when there was nobody else in the box. Where did he learn how to be a striker? If he thought, oh yeah, let me be behind the centre-back and let's make the cross for Ziyech 50 million times more difficult. And even then, you're too shit in the air anyway. So even if you got on it, how are you going to, like, you were next to the goal. How are you going to get enough power on it from there when you can't jump because he never jumps to put it into the goal? So get yourself between the centre-backs where there is space. Don't just hide behind the centre-backs every time. And I know we're talking about Ziyech and I'm going off about Lukaku already, but that's just a lot to say. But so there was one acceptable thing Ziyech did, but that was it. I mean, the pass for Lukaku when Lukaku was probably offside anyway. Pai said to me, could Ziyech have played it quicker? Maybe. Honestly, I can't remember if he played it first touch, second touch, how he received the ball. I can't remember that part. To me, it just seemed like Lukaku ran too early and then Ziyech rushed his pass and that's why he overhit it as much as he did. But that still doesn't excuse it, by the way. He shouldn't overhit it just because he rushed it, but it's still the explanation of why he overhit it. But it didn't matter anyway because Lukaku was offside. But yeah, Ziyech today was on the pitch to be a creative attacking player. And was he creative in a positive way? No. The only one that created anything was Kovacic. So I'd probably give him the same rating as Pulisic for me. 3. Like he was in a different kind of way bad to Pulisic because he did try more things, which yes, I kind of give a little bit of credit for, like we said, for cover. But if none of them come off, you can't have it. Like, you know, for cover didn't have a 20% success rate of doing difficult passes. He had probably like a 50% rate, 60% rate, which is still not great, but you know, that happens when you play risky passes. But Ziyech, he couldn't pull anything off that he tried. So, yeah, Tuchel was constantly fuming at him, although I think I feel like Tuchel needed to be fuming at a lot more players than just Ziyech. And judging by the journalists present at the game, he was most fuming about mostly, so I don't really understand. But maybe he should be fuming more about Lukaku. But anyway, I've given up on that, really. But yeah, 3 from me. Pice?
0. Worst player on the pitch with Alonso and Lukaku. End of. Shit. So slow. Ruined counter-attacks. Awful. No creativity.
No.
Terrible on the ball.
You can't slate him for being slow because you never slated Giroud for being slow.
Yeah, but Giroud like used different qualities. Like what else did Ziyech do today?
I'm joking. You
know what I mean? Like no, 0. He was terrible. What? Join 3 of them worst players on the pitch. I can't give him a rating. He did nothing. He was awful. Shocking.
Yeah, kind of true. Before I go to Con, we have a super chat here by Dexter. Appreciates it a lot, saying 1-0 down, 10 minutes left. Why not press hard? Well, you're right, but at least we pressed a little bit because it took us until going 1-0 down until we thought that was a good idea. So at least it was a bit better. Go on.
By the way, one more thing. For the guy in the comments calling me a clown, up your standards, bro.
True. I agree. Why not press hard? No back passing. Every man push forward, but we'll concede more. So this season won't be 1 goal difference. Well, FFS. Rom and Lukaku were oppositions today. Ref was pathetic. I'm not sure if we can put any blame today on the ref. I can't lie. Other than when De Bruyne didn't get booked for a foul. Other than that, I thought, well, how's that the ref's fault? But I do agree. We didn't do enough attacking at the beginning, and we didn't do enough attacking even at the end when we were losing. So, it's just a shambles. But again, mate, I appreciate the donation a lot. Con, we have a 3 so far and a 0 so far. Leaving outside of 1.5 so far. So, where do you sit on Hakim Ziyech's performance?
I got to agree with you. I've got to go the same as Pulisic today. Like, Pulisic was bad because he was a bit negative. Well, not a bit. He was very negative and he didn't really do much. And Ziyech was bad today because anything he did try, it just didn't come off, And I do feel for him. And this is why Lukaku, for me, will get the lowest rating because it was quite clear today that we want to, defend a little bit and use Lukaku as that focal point. And for these two to play off him. And if he couldn't do anything, win an aerial duel or anything like that, how are these two meant to get in the game? So, that's the way it is sometimes, but you've got to try and force something, That Ziyech pass to Lukaku when he absolutely just overhit it. I couldn't believe he overcooked that.
Especially by how much? Like, it wasn't even a little bit.
Yeah, and I do like Ziyech. I do like his profile, but them two today, just not good. So I would have given both 2.5s, but because Pulisic's on the 3, I'll give him a 3 as well.
Fair, but you gave Pulisic a 2.5 though.
Yeah, I was going to say I would have gave Ziyech 2.5 as well, but because Pulisic's on the 3, I'm going to give him a 3 as well.
Fair enough. I guess that then pushes him up to 2.5, kind of. And by the way, Benny, don't give it the big one in my chat. Like, all right, calm down. No need for such toxicity. Like, what is that? Grow up. Like, how old are you? 12? Sorry, what is that? 2.5 we roughly sit at so far for Hakim Ziyech. Alex, how do you put your finger on that? Like we just said, I mean, in the end, it turns out Pulisic did actually touch the ball more than Ziyech, but he tried, but it just never worked, did it? So how do you rate that?
I think this is the one area that, like, if you're going to criticize Tuchel today, I think you'd criticize him on this because, okay, so I haven't watched every Chelsea game recently, but I've watched a couple where they played the 4-2-2-2-2. I've had too many twos there. And Ziyech was playing off the right. And he looked really good. I can't remember which. It was the first game he did that when everyone thought he was going to play right wing back. Against Palace. That's when he looked like.
No, Palace, like, Spurs, mate. Tottenham.
Spurs. That was it, sorry. Yeah, that's when he looked almost like his Ajax form. Like playing off the right, a bit deeper, given the space. He's not like the furthest forward, one of the furthest forward wide men. Gets given the space to cross in, like of his sort of famous sort of in-swinging cross. That's when he's been great. So I don't understand the logic to not only like switch to the 4-2-2-2 and still playing, but also put him on the left. Like, I don't quite get it. But yeah, that doesn't excuse like quite a few bad final balls, like from the rest of the front three. I'll match up with my other Pulisic rating, which is a 4. So I think that bounces it all up together for the overall rating.
And then we sit on the 3 for both of them. Yes.
Yeah.
Let's do that. That seems somewhat reasonable. Because I will go on a rant and it will be a hot minute long. I will let you go first, Alex.
Perfect.
Because even you, and you are a neutral, even you were saying, like, he's so bad. Like,
oh yeah.
I said to Pice, like, do we still have a receipt? Because, like, how have we
bad?
bamboozled? Because I include myself in this. I preferred Haaland. But I was also bamboozled. Yeah, if we can't get Haaland, so be it. Lukaku's still a great striker. I was bamboozled into thinking he was going to be great. And other than 3 games, and one of which was only a second half, by the way. So Arsenal in his first game, Villa at home, and Villa away in the second half. He's been shit every game he's played.
Well,
and I'm not being funny here. This is not being over exaggerating. Maybe shit is a harsh word. Let's say not good in every other than those 3 games. How is that acceptable? Like, it doesn't matter who you fucking are. Morata scored like 15 goals in his first 3 months at Chelsea. And everyone's slating him all the time. Someone put it up in the chat earlier. Armando Broja, who is, 20? Who we loaned out, who no one even gave a shit about before the summer, has the same amount of Premier League goals as Romelu Lukaku in less starts. Sorry. I didn't want to go first. Alex, please tell me what you thought of Lukaku.
well, while you guys were chatting for the other range, I was doing a bit of maths. I wanted to figure out what Lukaku's contribution was today because he had 21 touches of the ball. With that, he misplaced 5 passes. He had 5 unsuccessful touches. He had 1 shot, and he had 7 aerial duels, which he all lost. It was, thank you for telling me to ask me to go first because I think that's the best opener for it. I messaged you during it. He that game alone, he didn't look like a Premier League striker. That his touches were so bad. Every time the ball goes into him, it looked like he's going to lose it. And I don't know if you're going to bring it up, but Tuchel's actually called him out after the game.
What has he said?
No, he's in his like sort of general polite way, but he's name checked him. He said Lukaku sometimes needs to deliver the service. He's included in this. He had many ball losses in very promising circumstances. He also had a huge chance. So I think someone needs to slate Lukaku behind the scenes because look, I think Pice was saying it earlier. For someone who came out and said, "I'm going to show my commitment to the in games. I'm going to make sure we win games." That was a guy who looked like he wanted to sabotage your team. To be perfectly honest, it's a 1 from me.
But I do understand. By the way, just quickly, someone just said it here, Fantasy BJ. Why did he play the full 90 then? I agree. Why did Havertz not come on for him? Like, I wanted to have that after half an hour.
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm
like,
with you.
Go on. Yeah. I mean, we have a 1 so far from Alex, which says enough. I mean, the guy's literally backed himself for being a stacked man, like a man that watches football all over the globe. And is not a Chelsea fan. And he says what? He doesn't give a shit what interviews Lukaku gave. Inter, by the way. Funny that Inter is in the word interview, isn't it? But I appreciate the donation, Fernando. Lukaku -0-0, I think is what that means. Laurenz get hard on the CBA. See, the problem is Chelsea Football Club, and this is not on the blame of any manager because it's been under God knows how many managers. And it's not even purely just on the back of the blame of any individual striker. But no strikers work for us. So can we just buy £20 million strikers so at least when they're shit, it doesn't hurt as much? Because let's stop buying good ones that are supposedly good, because it doesn't work anyway. But I will keep my round to last. Pice, I know you said you're going to head off at 1:15, but let's just finish Lukaku and then I'll let you off. Let you talk about Tuchel and the subs if you want to. So I'll go with you next then, Lukaku. Even you, and you obviously defended him for a while, to be fair. Not holding that against you, by the way. But even you were like, that was awful from him today.
Yeah, I mean, I defended him because I've seen how good he can be at other clubs, / for Belgium. But clearly, I don't know what's up with it. Even in the two up top system, he didn't look that great. You know, we're nitpicking on the things he does well lately. You know, we really are, especially in these player rating streams. I'm often, you know, like I heavily praised him for his hold-up play against Spurs, but, you know, other than that, yeah. And today he was just, oh my God, absolute passenger. Didn't press, no goal threat. You know, the worrying thing is that when he went through on goal, that pass, I didn't think he was going to score. Now, previously,
Neither did I, bro. Neither did I, and that's a problem.
That's a problem because previously I would have been like goal, because at least when Lukaku gets in on goal, if he doesn't, offer anything else, he usually puts the ball in the back of the net. But I didn't think he'd score, and he didn't. And yes, it was a good save, but you still expect in those big moments, you're only going to get one or two. If you're lucky against City, you've got to score that. And sorry, I'm just being sidetracked by one of the comments saying Lukaku's a good player. TT is just trash, in my opinion. So we've clearly got some trolls in here. Zigzag,
you're crazy.
we clearly got some trolls in here, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. In terms of long term, I'd love for him to go and us to recoup some money and actually get a striker that doesn't cost as much, or just play Brozier and then sign someone else. I don't know. I don't know about the long term, but yeah,
I don't know anymore either, bro.
It's not good. He doesn't deliver in the big games. Clearly, there's a serious question. Do you start him in the Carabao Cup final? For me, no. I'd play Havertz. Just straight away, I would. Against either team.
Talk about Carabao Cup final. What happens against Brighton?
Yeah, Brighton. I'd play Havertz. I would. Movement, Brighton have got big centre backs, so we're probably going to use him as a target man again, right? Oh, great.
I would send Lukaku on a whole week of just media, PR work.
I don't know.
A few interviews.
The thing is, look, Laurenz, I don't know what teams you use him against, because even like today, and the one thing I will slightly defend him on is obviously the ball from Ziyech was crap, and there was multiple times where, yes, if we had a ball over the top, he was pointing and trying to make the runs, but the ball never came. And that's one of the things that previously I've said, yeah, but if we actually find them, he might score. But then again, I'm kind of, my point's kind of maybe, kind of irrelevant, because when he did get in, he missed. So what do I do?
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know. But today, yeah, 100% for me, 0. Absolutely 0. Nonsense performance, 0.
I mean, I'll definitely go along with that, but we're sitting on a 0.5 for the time being. Next, I will get to a super chat just once we finish talking about Lukaku. I have starred it, so I don't forget it and miss it, but I will highlight it once we're done with Lukaku, because it doesn't really fit the Lukaku conversation. Con, Lukaku for you.
Sorry, I'm still muted. Is this painful, man? Because I really like Lukaku. I'm not gonna lie, I really do like him. Well, I did. I don't like him anymore. I don't have any affiliation with him anymore. Don't care if he plays. Like, if he scores, I know for a fact I'm not going to celebrate it. I just generally don't like him. I think he's a prick. Main character. He's like a Ross Barkley of strikers, man, honestly. Just that ego and just wanting to be the man. Like, you're not the man, mate. You're not with the Lewandowskis and the Benzemas, mate. You're not at that level. And today, he was absolutely dreadful. Yeah, how can you be that big? Like, if you want to have that much muscle in you and be that big, then win some physical battles. If not, then just get leaner, man. What was the point of having all that extra weight if you just can't win any duels at all? Just drop it, man.
Can I just say something?
What's that, bro?
Lukaku, in terms of, like, I don't know his actual weight and stuff, but I was watching a counter-attack goal he scored against Man City for Everton a few years ago, and like, he was just so fast and lean and explosive, and like today, even like, he's just, I don't get that vibe from him anymore. And it may be his weight, I don't know, or maybe he's got too much muscle, because like when he takes his top off, sometimes he's got almost so much muscle now that it's like, I don't know if it suits him. Honestly, I don't know if it suits him.
But if he has, he's made that mistake before. He said himself in his second season at Man United, he felt he fell away because during the summer he went to the gym so much, put on a lot of extra muscle, and he felt he lost an extra touch of sharpness. He said that himself. So, plus, if you're right, like, you could be like
and he said
like
in his
Everton,
interview how great he feels. So what's he talking about?
Yeah, if he's made the same mistake again to himself, it's on him.
Bro, he was so slim at Everton. It's like crazy. Like, I don't understand what's happened to him. Like, it's just mind blowing.
It's incredible. Fernando, I have also seen your other super chat, by the way. I'll get to that in a second. Saying so-called Mr. Multidimensional. Yeah, that's what we called him. Mr. Inter, Mr. Flip-Flop. Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more.
Yeah,
you here or you dog troubles?
Oh, sorry, yeah, my dog was just barking a bit. I don't know what she's barking at.
Mate.
But Yes,
Go on.
with Lukaku, I just don't get what he wants to do because he doesn't want to be played as a target man. But then when he plays doing more stuff like drifting out wide, he's crap at doing it. Like you can't want to do something if you're not good. You're not Kai Havertz, mate. You can't run the channels like he can. You can't dribble as good as he can. You're not. And I'm starting to think, in hindsight now, I don't think we needed the striker because if you look at City today, at the best team in the league by a mile, have no recognised striker. Liverpool, the second best team, on par with us probably actually saying that they have no
But
recognised
you do
striker
say
either.
that the one goal they did score was from a long shot, so like you could argue that them not having a striker also made it easier for us to defend. You could argue that.
No, of course, bro, but they still won the game. And it's the second time they beat us by a goal. They find a way to win, with no recognised striker. And that's another issue there is a lot of people make excuses for our attackers because of the system. But do you think it's in Guardiola's instructions for De Bruyne to take on Kante, get past him and have a cracking shot outside the box? No, he's just a great player. And our attackers ain't great. They're just good. They're just good players. And in certain systems, they'll flourish. We see it with Ziyech at Ajax, Pulisic at Dortmund in stints. Even at Chelsea at stints, but they're just not good enough. And Lukaku's just 100 million. I can't believe we paid it for this guy. I can't believe I wanted him. Like from now on, when I see a player who's good and they're from a different league, I'm going to really, really be skeptical about them coming to the Premier and doing it. Even though Lukaku's done it before, because this guy should be playing at Man United or a team that likes to counter a bit more, not Chelsea.
Bro,
he can't play possession football. He can't.
It's
Yeah,
even
bro.
like that Dusan Vlahovic at the moment.
Yeah.
Like he scores a lot of penalties. Like you know what I mean? Like he
Vlahovic
scores,
wouldn't be good for us.
he scores some good goals, but it's like I don't see it as any different to what Lukaku did in Italy. Like you can't. It's very hard to take these risks from other leagues. Like
yeah, it is. It's so hard, and it's like anytime Chelsea spend like a good amount of money on a player from a different league now, all us Chelsea fans are going to be so skeptical, barring defenders, because I think with how Tuchel's system is, if you're a good defender, you'll do all right in this system. But when it comes to forwards, I'm scared about anyone, bro. Like you could bring me, I don't know, you could bring me Haaland, you can bring me Mbappe. I'm gonna be scared of how they perform. Like I'm just cursed, and Lukaku's rating, bro, it's gonna be a 0 for me. He just didn't do anything today, and he had a golden chance and he missed it. 100 million, you have to score that. There's no excuses. None.
You do. And before I go on my little rant, Fernando, another super chat saying minus infinity. Let's have it right. Join the minerals of CISO. Big Johnny was apparently also not happy with Lukaku, although when is he ever, to be fair? He's probably more against Lukaku than I am. But, Con, is your rating 0 or is your rating higher than 0?
No, it's 0 today, bro. He's the reason why we couldn't attack today. These two next to him were meant to play off him today. He was meant to be the focal point. He didn't do that. When he got the ball, he took like 15,000 touches to get out of his feet. Like I'm done with him, man. He don't want to be here. We don't want him here. Just piss off, man. Seriously, just piss off.
Laurenz, I have to go in a second.
Yeah. Do you want to sub the subs? Just tell me what you thought about Tuchel.
Yeah, see, this is obviously going to be an interesting one because I blame the board a lot because I know he chose these attackers, but the other guys are just, there's no guarantees. They're as inconsistent as the others. So, I just think I've got so many problems with this board and our squad at the moment that, I slightly back Tuchel more because I do think he's the best coach we'll have in many years.
You
I
can back
really
him, though,
do.
and still think he did bad today.
Yeah, but I mean, do I? Like, yeah, he had good defensive. I mean, we have a really good defensive structure, I think, for our team. I think my main problem was probably the front three. But then again, as I said, there's no guarantee the others would have worked any better. The one thing I'll give is actually not more so the lineup was when it went wrong, the lack of reaction, the lack of subs. That's the one thing I'll go into Tuchel today because I think fair enough if you put this lineup out, but at half time, two changes minimum, absolute minimum. Or maybe one and then wait to see, maybe 20 minutes in case someone gets injured. But Mount or someone like that had to come on at half time. Absolutely had to. And he was intensively warming up, so I don't know why he didn't bring him on. He actually waited the longest, I'm pretty sure, wasn't it, for Mount to come on? The Mount come on was like one of the last subs.
Yeah, he was.
It's like don't make any sense. I don't know. I don't know what he saw to make him wait that long. It was strange. I would have started Havertz. up top over Lukaku. If we play a 2 up top, sure. Start both of them. But again, I said Werner as well. I'm pretty sure I wanted Werner because of the spacing behind. But then again, counteracting that point, does he ever stay on side? Does he ever hold his runs? No. So what do? I mean, I slightly blame TT, but more of my blame goes to the board because half of these guys aren't good enough. So I don't know. 5, I think. 5.
Fair dudes. We'll get to talk about our ratings a little bit later, and then we'll see what we end up with.
Yeah,
Guys, appreciate you for coming on, of course, as always, bro.
Yeah, I'll check back on the stream and see what you guys put, but I gotta go.
Brilliant.
All right.
Take care.
See you guys later. See ya.
All right, boys. Let me quickly get back to Lukaku before I get to the other super chat, which I hadn't touched on yet. See, the problem with Lukaku is that there's still people that defend him, which makes me extra angry. And that then I'm going to be even harsher on Lukaku than I would be if people wouldn't also defend him. Like I see now on Twitter, I'm like, people say like, oh, but Pulisic is worse or Ziyech is worse. I'm like, fair enough. If you criticize all three, fair enough. If you criticize none of them, or if you don't want to say harsh things about any of them, also kind of fair. Like maybe you just aren't the supporter that wants to be super harsh on players. Fair enough. But if you're going to pick out Lukaku to defend, you're outrageous. Like you're just out of the line. Like, sorry, 0 out of 7 aerial duels won. He's 6'3". He's 6'3". He calls himself multi-dimensional, and he couldn't win a single header. Multi-dimensional. He doesn't even have one dimension. That's upwards. He has no dimensions. He's a 0-dimensional player is what he is. It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life, honestly. Like, how? And then people tell me, oh, it's a great save by Ederson and it's great and a great positioning by Ederson. Yes, it is. All of those things are true. But are you saying I can't even expect a goal in a one-on-one situation with a goalkeeper when I pay £100 million for a striker? And like, we can't even say, oh, let's not sign strikers from other leagues anymore. Lukaku has over 100 Premier League goals. Lukaku has more Premier League goals than Didier Drogba, for flip's sake. He's not new to the Premier League. We shouldn't sit here in January. Oh, still needs to get used to it. For Werner, that went, he's also young. For Havertz, even more so, he's even younger. All of these guys, sure, adapting to the league, this and that. Lukaku knows the league and is in his prime. There is zero excuses for you being this dog shit. And even if without the interview, it would be ridiculous. Like, people know, I was quite critical of Lukaku even before the interview. And then weirdly, my initial reaction to the interview, I was like, okay, let's see what happens. Because my almost hope in my head was like, the reaction, the backlash of this interview is going to make him try so hard to be good that he's actually finally going to be good. And that makes everything not so bad. But then I watched the Spurs game. Not the Spurs game. Yeah, the Spurs game. And then I watched the Chesterfield game. And he was even shit against Chesterfield, man. These are a 5th division team. And he was shit. He did not look better than any of their players. He didn't. How is anyone accepting this? This is the most ridiculous, like the most, honestly, things could change. But from August till January, the biggest transfer flop in history of football. Like, has any signing ever done anything worse? Not only is he shit, but he's also given an interview to disrespect the club, the fans, and all of his teammates. Like, could he have done anything worse than what he's done in the last 6 months? Like, what could he have done worse? Tell me, other than not scoring against Arsenal in his first game. But at least then he wouldn't have sold us this hype dream that he's actually good. Because that's what we all thought after Arsenal. You know, at least if he was shit from the get-go, I would have never been hyped. Do you know what I mean? Like, how? He's one-on-one with the goalkeeper. And yeah, the goal actually goes top corner. But has any of you ever considered that? Same with Timo Werner, and Morata, whenever they do a lob, they look at the ball for about half an hour before that, and every good goalkeeper sees it. And Lukaku, I mean, it was the most obvious thing I've seen in my life that he was going to go top left corner. And clearly it was, because otherwise Ederson wouldn't have jumped for it by the time Lukaku barely touched the ball. Like, he knew where he was going. Mind you, he was closer to him than on a penalty. This was more difficult to save for Ederson than a penalty. And he still saved it. Like, how? You're a £100 million striker that had the audacity to give an interview in which you say, I'm doing great, I'm fully fit, you can't run, I've never seen you run properly other than when you want the ball. And yes, Pies makes a good point. He does point for the runs. But do I want anyone to pass it to him? Because his touch is going to bounce it all the way over to Old Trafford anyway. Like, what is this? Like, and how is anyone defending him? I don't. And again, this makes me even more angry that people defend him. Because does that mean he will never be great? Of course not. Of course it doesn't mean that. But on the basis of today and on the basis of the last 6 months, he's shocking and he's shit. And he's only lucky that I don't go lower than 0 because he shouldn't be. The only reason I don't go lower than 0 is because I put a little minus sign essentially between the name and the rating. So 2 minus signs next to each other look shit. So that's why I can't do that, right? So that's why he's getting the 0. But honestly, what is this? And we have another super chat by Fernando, and I do have to get back to Dexter's super chat from earlier. Lukaku can't play lone striker in this system. So what was the point in signing him? Massive L for us. Haaland in, please. And at least he has resale value. He does have resale value. That's a fair point. But other than that, I'm not sure if he would be any better. At this point, I don't have hope in any strikers that come to Chelsea Football Club. But again, appreciate the donation. And I do have another one here. If this ever switches the page here, then I can actually get to it. None of our attackers are good. No, it's true. None of them are good. Well, they are good. Mason Mount's good. Wasn't good last game, but he's good. The others good, debatable. They have their moments. I mean, Kai Havertz was great.
Can I make a point about that, Laurenz, bro? That's cool.
Please do.
Do you know you said none of our attackers are good? Fairs, but who else came out and did an interview disrespecting the club, the fans, and his teammates? That's why Lukaku's getting it grilled. Because he showed us no love or fucking loyalty. So if you don't perform, guess what? We do it the same. We don't show you no love or loyalty. So we protect our players, because we're fans of this football club. We're supporters. What do supporters do? We support. And don't get me wrong, I love Ziyech and Pulisic, and I'm starting to really, really doubt these two. But I will still defend them against rival fans, etc. Because they're my players. Why they're here. I want to back them as best as possible. But
I'm not defending
against
anyone.
But yeah, if Lukaku wants to come out and disrespect us, then fuck you. Us fans are not going to have you back. When you're not performing, we're going to be the ones at your throat. Like, forget the rivals and everyone else. We're going to be the ones at your throat. At that price tag, it's bad enough you're playing like this, but you come out and talking shit against the manager that won us the Champions League, the teammates who also won the Champions League. You can fuck off, man. We ain't going to show you no love. I don't care if all our attackers are bad. Fuck Lukaku, man. He's going to be the first name off my tongue every time.
And that's the closest thing to a rival fan here. I was going to say, what makes it the more funny, just like the fact that it'd be one thing if he came out and did that unbelievable interview and just perfectly summed up, but stand the managers, stand the players, stand the club, just because he's in love with Inter, that'd be one thing. And if he could have done that, and like he said in his apology, and said, I'm gonna make sure I'm really gonna knuckle down, gonna proper put stuff again. But he's got worse since he said he's going to do better, which is what makes it even more incredible. I don't understand.
It's baffling, bro. It's absolutely baffling, honestly.
And like you said, Laurenz, sorry, that meant to interrupt you, bro, but against Chesterfield, this guy couldn't even take on, what division are in? Like the 5th division, did you say?
Yeah.
He couldn't even take on a 5th division fullback, and this guy's crying because he can't run the channels. Are you mad?
When I see Lukaku doing stepovers, it's like seeing Mendy do stepovers. Fuck off.
There's no point. They're so slow, bro. They're so slow. It's ridiculous. No, if you can't beat a 5th division defender, then what makes you think you can do that in the Prem? Are you mad, bro?
Yeah, exactly. And I do want to say actually 2 more things, and one more thing, mainly. The whole situation of where Ziyech was offside early on and Lukaku overhit the pass anyway. That situation, again, we're going back to the price. £100 million striker that's at the edge of the box and decides to pass it to someone who's clearly offside. If I pay £100 million for a striker, we didn't pay £100 million for, say, Grealish or Havertz. Those are, to some extent, also creative players. I can understand them maybe doing the pass too much in some occasions. He's a striker. So not only does he give it the big one in an interview, but he's only confident in an interview in his own house, apparently, because on the pitch, there's no confidence. Why the fuck did you not shoot, man? The defenders knew you were passing. You basically had an open gap. Just smack it top corner. Just smash it. If he had at least attempted it and maybe it went slightly wide at the goalie, I'm less critical of that than passing to a guy that's... yes, Ziyech shouldn't have been that far offside. Also criticism to Ziyech. But... he was so clearly offside that Lukaku should see that. You should know that he's offside. Stop passing to him. What are you doing? Honestly, infuriates me.
And bro, do you know why he didn't shoot? Do you know why he didn't shoot there, bro? It's because it's not Aston Villa, bro. It's not Aston Villa. That's why. If it was
And he's
Aston
not
Villa, bro,
Inter.
he's scoring that, bro. If he's playing some like Genoa in Serie A, he's playing Aston Villa, he's scoring that every day. But against a good team, against Tottenham, what did he do? He missed chances and didn't do much else. He couldn't even get past fucking Doherty, man. And he's a backup fullback for Spurs. So awful, man. You
And
just have
playing
to
on the wrong
laugh.
side. Vescoli was playing left wing back. Do you know what I mean?
It's a
Like,
joke when you think.
it's just
If you actually
outrageous.
voice it, bro. If you me just listening to you voice it, I'm actually in disbelief because obviously that when you think things and etc. But hearing you put it out loud, it's a fucking joke, man. You just have to laugh, otherwise you're gonna cry.
Yeah,
quickly,
no, you're right. You're right. You're absolutely right. And like, you know, and yeah, maybe the interview and the backlash cost him some of that confidence, but that's all of his own fault. So that's not getting any sympathy from me one bit. Let me finally get back to your super.
Sorry, Loss, I was just going to say quickly. I've just another bit of math. Since the interview, he's played 4 games, and across those 4 games, he's lost possession 36 times. It's like it's nearly 10 times per game. Sorry, continue.
It's nearly 10 times per game, man. 10 times per game. I'm just trying to find this other super chat by Rex here, so I don't miss it. It is up here, but I'm not sure if I can highlight it here. Let me highlight it. I'm taking a quick screenshot just in case it does go away, so I can at least read it out.
I want to echo Dexter's point here as well, bro. When I was watching the game, I said to my mate, how has Walker not been booked or Cancelo been booked? I said, he's not a Chelsea player. The ref today was a wanker, by the way. That needs to be pointed out.
The referee's a wanker. There you go. Yeah, but no, I agree. No cards for Walker, Foden, or Cancelo, but Cover gets one. Only attacking guy on the pitch immediately limited by BS card. And please no Alonso next season. No, I completely agree. I mean, do I think Cover can get booked for that? I do. It's a silly tackle and it's a tactical foul. But I can't remember the Walker and Foden one specifically, and Cancelo even either, to be perfectly honest. But I remember one specifically by De Bruyne, where he literally just hacks Aspie, Ziyech, one of them. I think Ziyech. Just hacks him down in the knee for no reason.
Oh, the Bernardo Silva one, bro. Bernardo Silva, like, he missed the challenge and then he put his leg out. Like, how is that not a yellow? Like, you can't do that.
No, exactly. Or even, like, I just went in on Lukaku for half an hour, but once he got fouled, the referee didn't even give a foul. It's the clearest technical foul you'll ever see. It's not just, is it a foul? It's also a yellow bloody card. Like, it's just outrageous. Sorry, boys. I mean, hey, no problem that you're sending so many super chats, but, you know, I have to do the super chats first because otherwise we're getting confused here. So, Rex, appreciate it as always, bro. Appreciate you so much. Saying we have not had a world-class attacker since Hazard, despite spending so much. Man City have at least 3. Board put back Tuchel and don't throw money at brick shit houses. Yeah, not sure about the first part of the last sentence, what exactly you mean, but just back Tuchel basically. Yeah, do. But the problem is, do actually back him because we don't know what the reality is. Because we don't know. Does he want Emerson or did he want Digne? Does he want Kennedy or did he want Digne? I don't know.
Can I make
don't
a
know
point to you, bro?
anymore.
About Emerson. Yeah. So I said to people, he might have come out and said, oh, he likes Emerson, he's a nice guy, but just go with what you see. When Emerson was here, for one, he barely even played left wing back. He played like a left winger or like a centre mid or even left centre back. I remember a game. Yeah. And then Alonso was played over him. So if Emerson's coming, use your heads, people. From what we've seen with our own eyes, with Tuchel and Emerson, he will be an Alonso backup. And for the last time, an Alonso backup. And after today, we don't need a backup for Alonso. We need to get rid of this guy in the summer. I don't care. I will sell every asset I have and just pay off the rest of his contract and just get him gone from this club and then have 2 good fullbacks competing for the same spot. It's not a problem for Cancelo and Walker. And guess what? A Cancelo can cover both sides too. You know, he's not exclusively just the right back. He can also play on the left. It's fine. This club, man. And then Kennedy, bro, he's got to stay. Why is Kennedy staying here, bro? What is that? Flamingo, and he was benched at Flamingo, bro. What is going on?
Flamengo. Why do Flamengo, by the way, not wear a pink shirt? Like, come on, if you call it Flamengo, you need to wear a pink shirt. Like, it can't be black and red. That doesn't work.
How is this backing, bro? This isn't backing, bro. This is sabotage, bro. Oh God, honestly. Kennedy did one good flip flap in the Chelsea shirt. And I can't remember anything else he's done for the club, honestly.
But Con, you weren't here yesterday. Little fact for you. Callum Hudson-Odoi and Kennedy have the same amount of Premier League goals.
See, that just sums up our attacking players.
They
Man.
both have 4 Premier League goals. That's outrageous. Obviously, Callum has Europa League and Cup and, I don't know, maybe a Champions League goal. I don't know. But it's just, like, it's not good, is it? It's not
I'm
good.
not laughing because I think it's funny. I'm laughing because I don't want to cry.
Does he have more Premier League Chelsea goals than Lukaku?
Bro.
I'll check.
you check that. Like, it's honestly, Fernando, again, appreciate all the donations today. Can't take this anymore. Lukaku is the biggest L since Bakayoko. My last flame for today. He's still going to be here for the next games. Hopefully, eventually, bloody hopefully. But do I have hope? No. But we'll get to Tuchel in a minute. And I should do that, Fantasy. I should clip this up and release it, at least on the socials, even if not as a video. And yeah, that's why Chelsea creators aren't as big as Arsenal Fan TV, because we lose yet less. Yeah, it's just fact.
Max, we don't shout this like we don't go Lukaku a blood cup coup or something like that. So we don't talk like that, and we don't go get him out of the fucking club. Like we don't overreact, you know. Sometimes we might be
Lukaku where?
Yeah. Lukaku no fucking where. But like we're not over the top with it. We're not actors.
See, at least it's cheering me up a little bit because it's kind of funny.
Yeah, we're not actors, isn't it? Like we're just passionate fans. Sometimes we have a rant. Like I love when Laurenz gets angry. By the way, like I was so annoyed, and then when when Laurenz went on that like fucking rant, I was just so happy. Like I found it so funny. You cheer me up so much with that rant, bro. We're just like he's just shit. I was like, jeez.
Also, it's like it's bit for you guys. It's building as well. It's like, all right, Lukaku's coming and scored against Arsenal. Great, he's going to be really good. He kind of does okay for the next few games. It's all right. It's going to be really good. He gets injured. That's fine. When he comes back from injury, he's going to be class. He comes back from injury. He's not doing too well. Don't worry. It's okay. He does the interview. It's taken out of context. Full interview gets released. Well, we'll see what he says. He says, "I'm going to come back and do well." He's going to come back and do well. He comes back and does shit. Oh, fuck off.
Yeah, literally. That's it. Literally that.
Fucking spot on, mate. Yeah. Oh, what a story that is.
It's crazy. It's crazy. I mean, subs, we were kind of done quickly. For me, obviously, you can see it differently if you want. Callum is the only one that actually gets a rating. I'll give him a 5. He was better than all the other attackers, but was he good? No. Timo Werner gets an NA. I didn't see anything from him other than running pointlessly. And Mason Mount was barely on the pitch for long enough, so you get an NA as well. Con, would you agree with those? Do you think I went too high for Callum?
I would have gave Callum an NA as well, to be fair.
Okay.
It's just me. Yeah.
I think you're harsh on saying Werner didn't do anything. Do you not remember when he passed it straight to, I think it's straight to Laporte? He was on the right, and so I was making.
So you're saying we should give him a 1?
Yeah, you could.
Let's,
Bro, why was Werner hugging the touchline as well, by the way?
All my anger today, so I don't really have much left for team. I can't lie.
On the other side,
why was Werner hugging the touchline? Sorry, why was he doing that? Did you see how wide he was? It's like, why are you that wide? What are you gonna do further? You ain't got the facilities to be dribbling past fullbacks, come on. Like, get central, you dickhead. What are you doing?
On the lighter side, I actually thought it was. Well, maybe I'm just basing this off because I saw him do a really nice turn out of 2 players, which is probably the best thing any Chelsea attacker did. He looked like, even though he was on for 20 minutes, he looked like the most dangerous attacker you had.
It's crazy. It's crazy. And yes, I did kind of forget about Kepa. We will get back to him in just a second. But I mean, what did you say? You NA as well for Chelsea. Fair enough. Alex, do you want to give any of them ratings? Maybe Callum.
I guess I'd stick with a 5 or 6 for Callum Hudson-Odoi, and then the other 2 so NA.
Fair dues. Let's give Callum that 5.5. I don't think he was shockingly awful. Kepa, who we forgot about. Obviously, I still think could do a bit better with the goal, just because he goes for the wrong corner first. Speculated a bit too much, but then again, his history of long shots, I kind of understand why he tries to anticipate them just to make sure he saves them. So I get it. But it's still not great. But obviously his save for Grealish was big. Like, that was more of a great save than it was bad not saving the long shot, I thought. So for me, I don't know.
But do you think Kepa should have saved the Bruyne's? Just question.
I think he could have, not should have.
You think he could have, not should have? Okay. What about you, Alex?
Yeah, I think that's a good way to sum it up. I think he could have, but could have, not should have.
Okay. Because I didn't know where I
Were you
stood
the
in
same,
it.
Con,
So.
or do you
No,
think it was not
I
too
generally
good?
didn't know I saw it. 'Cause it was a rocket by KDB, by the way. What a
It's
fucking
true, it
strike.
was a rocket.
But I wasn't too sure. So I just wanted to hear your two thoughts on it.
I think
I think you worded it well.
I think a world-class goalkeeper who's in form would save it.
Yeah.
But I think like an average sort of keeper wouldn't save it.
Fairs.
Well, with that said, then maybe we should even go higher than 7. But I don't think his distribution was great. He kept playing long balls to Alonso. By the way, only because Lukaku didn't win any headers. That's why he stopped playing them to Lukaku. But he overhit them a few times. They went out of bounds. But also Alonso didn't win enough of them. So I'll give him a 7 just because the distribution wasn't quite good enough. But him alongside Rudiger, in my opinion, were the best players. Because the save for Grealish was a really good save. He did look a bit lost at the beginning for a couple of corners, but then he made some decent saves and he even caught some corners, which I've never seen in my life. Kepa catch a corner. So, let's end it on a little bit of a positive note before we get to Tuchel, I guess. So I'll say 7. Con, what would you go? Would you?
Yeah, because he even punched the corner as well. Because I remember saying to my mate, I was like, "Oh no, this is where I'm really scared." And he caught the corner. I was like, "Oh, fairs." I think 7's fair. I think he could have saved that shot. He shouldn't have. Like, I loved that word, and I think that was a nice way to put it. Yeah, I think 7's fair.
Fair. And for you, Alex, would you go with the 7?
I had 7 written down. I think as well. Like it's been nice seeing Kepa actually kind of get back into form. Like, well, also because I agree, he looked, I guess like for a moment early on like a deer lost in headlights. But I turned my volume up. I don't know if you guys heard it. Like every time the ball came near him, the entire Etihad started jeering him, and I felt like if I play in goal, if that was me, I would crumble. So fair enough for doing as well as he did.
He did, well, maybe nearly an own goal is a bit much, but yes, he did very early in the game, tried to clear it, kind of mishit it with his shin and smacked it straight at Aspie. That wasn't great, but I mean...
Someone did make a good point in the chat as well, Laurenz.
Sorry?
Someone made a good point in the chat. Do you remember the Benzema shot against Mendy in Champions League? Very similar, really hard, really low.
And Mendy saved it.
Yeah,
but I think it was almost different because Benzema didn't have the lead up because Bruyne had his whole run, and I think that's why, because he came off the left, I think that's why Kepa expected it to go in the other corner, and that's why he did his wrong step first. I don't think Mendy ever had time to anticipate in the wrong corner because Benzema took the shot very quickly. But still, in the end, the shot is very similar, and the save, for sure. But yeah, for me, even fantasy, even with that, it's still a 7 because I was debating even higher, to be honest. So, I think the 7 is still reasonable. Let's get to Thomas Tuchel. I mean, I said a few things already. I don't understand why Ziyech and Pulisic were the ones that were picked. If I'm honest, I also don't understand why Lukaku got to start. I mean, I expected him to start, but I don't think he should have. I understand Koba Kante, maybe in hindsight, not. But I think with how I would have wanted to play against City, pressing, aggressive, energetic, Koba Kante makes sense. But then we didn't actually play pressing, energetic. We just try to be compact, play a high line, but not press. So we always stay compact so they don't pass our way through them. Which I see the logic in that. I see that, but that doesn't help us if we can't be good enough ourselves on the ball to, when we don't win the ball high up the pitch, to actually create something. Because what happens when you don't press but play a high line, yes, you close the opponent down and make the whole pitch compact, but the pitch remains compact whenever you win the ball back. And that makes it super difficult to get past City. Obviously, City are very good at pressing, and when we don't have Aspie, when we don't have Reece James, when we don't have Chilwell, when we don't have what's his face, Jorginho, when we're missing centre backs, whether you want to name it Christensen or whether you want to name it Chalobah, it's not the same as Malang Sarr, even though Malang Sarr was decent. Like, obviously, no blame goes to Tuchel for that, but as in, we weren't good enough to pass away out against City to not press, because when you press, there's at least a chance to win the ball high up the pitch. And on 2 or 3 occasions we did, and those were the occasions where we nearly scored or had chances. So I think we should have done that more. So I think you got that wrong. I think the subs bring in Callum and Timo on. I don't understand why Timo came on. At that point, the game was not in a situation where we were losing. City weren't giving us as much anymore. So then is the last position where you need Werner. Werner from the start at 0-0 when City go for it, fair enough, but not when you lose. Okay, to be fair, he did the sub before we were losing, but like, unfortunately, just 2 minutes before we're losing, so maybe. But even then, I think, like Pai said, I think the subs came way too late, honestly. Like, we needed at least one halftime sub. For me, it should have been Kai for Lukaku, but even bringing Mason on, instead of maybe Pulisic, just because even if Mason was bad against Spurs, even if Mason might not have had a good game, at least he would have had someone with intensity high up the pitch, which made it a bit more difficult for City to play with us. Like, that's what I lacked today, and I think Tuchel got that wrong. And I think the damning thing is that Tuchel said yesterday in the pre-match press conference, he was very self-critical and very reflective, I would say, because he was like, I got the approach against City at Stamford Bridge in September wrong. We were too passive, we were too defensive, and we were equally as, not quite as, but nearly as passive and defensive again today. So why would you sit there yesterday and criticize your own approach when it seemed like the approach was the same? Again, I've went on about it. He clearly wanted the team to push higher than they did the longer the game went on. So I get that. That's not his fault. That's what the players not having the balls, right? But by the way, maybe that reason also should lower all the centre-backs ratings, because the centre-backs is who dictates the lines in a way. Or how high of a line you play, I guess. But yeah, I'm going to give Tuchel because I don't think it's all his fault. Obviously, injuries, not having signed players. So obviously, I'm not going to go like 0. But I'm going to go 3, which overall leaves us at a 4 with Pitus 5. But be interested to hear what Con and Alex say. Con, Tuchel for you.
Don't hate me for this, but I'm going to give him a 6 today. And
Okay.
hear me out here. So obviously the win backs, the SAR situation, he can't control that, all right? So we can't judge him on that. But the fact is, if it weren't for our attackers just being brain dead in key moments, we could have actually got some out of the game. We could have actually won this game.
But then again, like I said earlier, yeah, we might have scored goals, but there's no guarantee that we don't concede later, I guess.
No, of course. But goals change games, though, don't they?
Yeah,
and if
sure.
we score, so for as bad as, I don't get me wrong, I'm not going to say his subs are great. I think his subs are slow. I'm so surprised Lukaku stayed on today. I couldn't believe he paid
Especially
the
if he picked him out to criticize in a way after the game. That makes it even more weird for me.
With this Ziyech and Pulisic, I'm not going to be too harsh on them, because whoever plays them positions, we never know what game we're going to get from them. Let's be real. We just never know what kind of game we're going to get from them. And the fact that even though we played horrendous, we still had the best chance, in my opinion, of the game. And we just didn't bury it. I can't blame Tuchel for individual errors, I just refuse to do that. So for me, I think he's a 6. Because despite all the faults, we still could have got something from this game, And what other manager can do that? No manager's doing that, There's no manager in world football who can do that. I know, if you disagree with me, that's fine. I get it. But in my head, I think it makes sense.
No, fair. Pushes us back up to a 5, I suppose. And now you, Alex. I'm not sure if you've ever done ratings for a manager, so I'm not sure how you're going to do that. But how would you rate Tuchel today? Obviously, you don't watch them week in, week out, so maybe it's slightly more difficult for you. It's like, he might have played that guy, but we would say, well, it would have been equally shit. But how do you assess it from your standpoint?
I've been thinking about how to assess it, and I'd give him a 5, so it's going to stay as a 5, because I don't think he got it right. Like, I think if he had played someone like Werner from the start, as limited as he is, I think that would have worked with the game plan he wanted to go to, or a Havertz, because Lukaku. The last Chelsea game I watched was the first leg against Spurs, and I didn't get to say it earlier. That was worse than this game. I was laughing to myself because I don't remember Lukaku genuinely having a successful touch. Like, he lost the ball every time. So I'm curious to see why Lukaku started. So yeah, that's what I said. I don't think he got it right. I think he selected better players, but at the same time, you can't really say he got it wrong, because Con kind of pointed out Chelsea had the best opportunity in the game, and also they still had, the game plan seemed to work up until the final third, where I posted on Twitter, your game plan seemed to be, play out of pressure, carry it through midfield, and then yeet it into row Z with your final ball. I don't know what is going on. It was so weird.
Spot on, bro. Spot on.
So I was just like, you can't really blame it. Like the Kovacic ball, when Kovacic is a competent player, you can't blame him for Kovacic punting it out of play. So I think it has to be a 5. Is he didn't get it right, but you can't blame him for all the things that went wrong.
You know what? I think I'll go with a 5 as well. I think what Alex said there was absolutely spot on. I echo everything he says. I think 5 too.
Fair dues. It still leaves us at a 5 anyway. Well, I guess I could push you to the 4.5, but I don't want to be rude to my guests, so I'll give you the 5. But I do agree with what Clutch said in the comments. I think momentum is everything. Halftime subs were needed. Ziyech and Lukaku should have been subbed, one or the other at least. Tuchel could have changed that, and he didn't change that. No, I agree. And Johnny, by the way, this comment, can you please, if you happen to be here in the stream on Tuesday, probably, because when do we play? Oh, we play Brighton Tuesday. So in the stream on Monday, in the preview, if you then put this in the chat again, I will want to talk about this, but now we've already sat here for 2 hours and 10 minutes. So, not enough time to discuss this still, but I do actually want to get into discussion and see what people think about it. But, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to round it out here. Those are the ratings. Lukaku with the 0, so that's fun. So, you need just one and one other 0, and that's then how much money we paid for him. So that's fantastic. Yeah, lovely, brilliant. I have a great time. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I think we're going to round it out here. Big shout out to Alex, especially he's not been on player ratings for us before, and he's been sat here now for 2 hours 11. These don't usually take this long, but I don't usually have that much to rant about. So I do apologize, mate, for taking so much of your afternoon. The same goes obviously to you, Clutch, and shout out to Price as well. Check out Your Experts YouTube channel. Check out his TikTok. The links to both of them are down in the description. Check out Con's Twitter, who has recently hit 100k. We've discussed this before, but still, 200k is only so far away. So
you could be Clutch.
Did I? Sorry. Well, Clutch. Let's get Clutch to 100k. We've got a while to go, but obviously, Con hit 100k, but 200k is on the horizon. So let's get that done. But yeah, and of course, ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe. We're on the road to 15,000 subscribers. I mean, depends on how many have subscribed today so far. We might have already hit 13k, but if we haven't, subscribe right now. Smash the like button as well, because cheer us up, please, or at least myself and Con, because Alex just had a great time.
Yeah, I did. I can't lie. I've had a great time.
There you go. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys for watching. Upwards and onwards. Let's hope we can at least win against Brighton. And I'll see you next time.